The Navajo Rambo Bobby Steele.
Hey, Bobby Steele, you play music I rock the whole nation.
Baby. With the baddest and hottest DJ in the game.
Oh, Bobby Steele, you're so naughty.
DJ
Navajo Rambo Bobby Steele.
What's up, Radio Lab Podcast, landed all across the earth. It's the Taurus, it's the rebellious, it's the man of the hour. Too sweet to be sound, the Navajo Rambo Bobby Steele, company here, live, loud, proud here on the blazing station of worldwide domination, Earth Rock Radio, yeah. And again, guys, this is 3 years in the making, coming to you right now. 3 years, it's been 3 years since I've been live on the air here right now. And what a great show we have for you today. We got a great show about a screenwriter, a Native American screenwriter here right now. He's be coming and talking to us today on Earth Rock Radio to start us off with this great set of interviews that are going to be coming up here on the station here in the upcoming future. But right now, let's get to the one, the only, Mr. Roscoe Pond. How you doing, Mr. Pond?
How you doing? I'm doing great. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Well, thank you for getting me off my couch here, off the potato couch, and getting my butt in gear to get this chat going here. Because if it wasn't for you, I would probably still be sitting on the sofa right now.
3 years ago, huh?
Yes. Well, how long have we been trying to set this up? We've been trying to set this up for what? At least 2 months? 3 months?
Yeah. I was waiting for you to get your thing going. Well, I remember you had tested it out and played my Western.
Yes.
And then you had to figure out how you were going to do the interview.
Yes.
So then, I was waiting. I was like, when is this guy going to call me or text me? And then when you did, you start testing it out, and you found out you were behind with all of your streaming stuff with your website.
Yes.
So
updates, everything. Yeah, technology. 3 years equals 30 years in technology terms. I mean, it's so much stuff I had to update. And we finally got together here right now. And what a great way to do it here right now by having you on the air with us here right now to tell us about this great screenplay that you wrote here right now. Now, tell us what it's about here. Well, first, tell us the title of it.
You mean the Western? 4 Days to Albuquerque.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
4 Days to Albuquerque at first was a screenplay that I had written maybe back in 2019. And I decided that I needed to work on dialogue. So someone had suggested, well, why don't you try radio? Adapt it to radio. It's easy. I was like, easy? really. And then, because I had to go get the radio format online. I had to download it from, the screenwriting websites and stuff because, they don't do radio anymore, old radio.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
plays and dramas and all that stuff. So I had to dig on the internet. And then I found a sample of a radio drama. And then and it was pretty easy actually, because I just took out all the action sequences, because movies are visual. And then I just cut everything out, and then there was just the dialogue. So I adapted it to radio, and then I had to study radio to see how I could make the characters work and make the story work in radio, because radio is all about voices and sound, that kind of thing.
Yes.
But 4 Days to Albuquerque had, I think I told Dan that someone had a screenwriter had asked me, well, why don't you just write since you like Westerns so much, why don't you just write a TV show, a TV pilot, which could have been like 70, 80 pages. It's still as long as a screenplay.
Yes.
But, I said, oh, okay. So I wrote a 70-page treatment. Well, not a treatment. It was just an outline. And then I don't know what happened. Then one day I woke up and there it was. It was a 70-page TV pilot.
Wow.
And I had to think about what I wanted to do, because I like to watch old TV Westerns on television, like Bonanza, Gunsmoke, The Big Valley, The Virginian, all those old shows. And I became a big fan of The Big Valley, because it was about Victoria Barkley, an older lady who has these tough kids. And each episode they have drama with all these, they're all at death's door and all that stuff. They all have all their little stories with each episode. And she was the matriarch of the Big Valley. And it ran in the late 60s, 1960s. And Barbara Stanwyck played Victoria Barkley. And I thought, well, wait a minute. Let's see if I can put this into a Navajo idea, because of the Navajo culture and the matrilineal, the women's side of the family line, the grandmothers and the mothers and the daughters. Everything that's handed down is through the mother. And I thought, well, let's make an example is Victoria Barkley. Let's make Lena Claw the matriarch of this story. And I started from there, and I wanted her two sons to be kidnapped, just like one of the TV episodes where they go through all their trauma to get free from whatever. And then it grew from there. It was quite, and I wanted her to have, in the TV show Victoria Barkley, they have a lot of land in California, and I wanted Lena Claw to have land in Arizona and New Mexico. And then I wanted her to lose the land because the government was taking it away and they were pushed onto the reservation. That's one. That was the beginning of the story. And then I thought, how can I get these two brothers to be kidnapped and go through go through not trauma, but ways to survive. I wanted it to be a survival story. So when
that's a lot, Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this: when you were writing these screenplays, when you're writing the screens and doing the dialogue, you literally have to become like schizophrenic, right? Because you have to become these characters, and you're literally that's really psychological stuff there that you got to play with there. Wow, that's amazing. I mean,
Well, it's really about relationships and the relationships that you have with your parents or your brothers and your sister or your wives and your husbands and your children. So you got to base everything on relationships. And I think that it works. And then when you have a hero and a villain, then you have a relationship where it builds drama because the hero and the villain, they have to have their own stories and they have to have their own motivations. So with 4 Days to Albuquerque, I wanted my villain to be a Civil War veteran. And I thought, where am I going to place this Western? And I thought, okay, let's move it back to the 1800s and the movement west and how the government was going to take her land and push her onto the reservation, even though she has all this land on the reservation too. And I wanted the sheriff of Albuquerque to have his own plan. What he really wanted to do was, because he was a Civil War veteran, that he wanted to relive his golden years or his early years. He always wanted to hunt down an Indian and kill him. So then that's where it all started to come together with the story of how they were kidnapped and why they were kidnapped. Because on the surface, he wanted money and land from Lena Claw because she had land. And that's that's the two brothers' mother. But in the end, when they got deeper into the story, he decided, well, no, we're not getting land. We're going to kill him.
Yes.
So that makes it drama, because when you have a villain that has a plan, then your heroes have to walk into that plan. And that's exactly what happened between the two brothers, Atza and Nostos, who are the oldest sons of Lena Claw, who has all this land. And what I wanted to do around her was I wanted everybody to hate her and be jealous of her because she has all this land. Even Indians, the Pueblos, are all upset because she has land near the Taos Mountains.
Wait till people hear her. Wait till they hear her character. She's very strong character. And what's great about her character is her tone of voice and how it sounds and with the accents, and it sounds so original. It just for native people who are listening, they're going to listen. You're going to be like, you can see it, you can hear it, you can visualize what she looks like. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, and she, when we introduce Lena, it's in the west, and there's thunder, and it's raining, and she's got to deal with the government going to buy her land in New Mexico, but it's not enough. They're not paying enough, and she wants them to pay. And then the Pueblo chairman, or whatever, the manager, he comes in and says, "Why don't you give it to my Pueblo people?" And she's very aggressive because she says, "It's my land. I can do whatever I want with it. And, I want no squatters on my land," that kind of thing. And
yeah.
the actress that played her, Jamie, I told her, I said, "Do you remember Victoria Barkley on The Big Valley?" She goes, "Yeah, the 60s show back in the 60s. I said, I want this to be like her. I want you to be powerful and smart, and you've got land, and you've got a strong family, and it's the West." I said, and everybody wants your land. And that's why I have also in the middle of the story where her scout goes to listen to the town folk and the Indians talk about Lena, and they're all angry. They all hate her because she's got power.
Yes.
And, and when you listen to them with their anger and their resentment, and she deserves to be on the reservation, that kind of thing. And then, of course, the Indians are upset. Those damn Navajos. Why can't they stay in Arizona?
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Well,
so-
let me ask you this here. Let me ask you this here: is when did you know that you wanted to become a storyteller? You know, like when did you say, "Hey, you know what? I want to start writing stories. You know, I want to start writing. You know, like what was your first time? You know, when did you write your first story? You know?
let's see. When I was, I always wanted to be, I was a performer. I was a modern dancer first, and I didn't want to be.
Oh, okay.
Because I wanted to be an actor, and I wanted to get to Los Angeles, and I wanted to get into it as an actor. And then I found out, it's another story, but I found out how hard it is because of stereotypes. I couldn't just be a modern Indian because Hollywood is all
Yes.
about stereotypes and warriors and all that, Westerns and all that.
Yes.
And in the 1990s, I was acting and performing, and I was really working hard to get to LA. And then, because I always liked Westerns and all that stuff anyway, so it was my parents who told me, if you don't make it, how about trying to write your own stories, or do something like that? Because you
Yes.
can be everything. You don't just have to be an actor.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, yeah. And then when I got to LA, I found out that, our stories are hard to tell and our stories are hard to find. And Hollywood is just a one-track mind when it comes to natives. And this was
Yes.
in the 1990s and the early 2001 or 2, I wrote my very first screenplay, movie script. And it was called The Lost Native. And it was awful. That was really bad. But
Well, that's the way we learned that, right? That's the way
right.
we learn. You know, like the 2099. That's like the Friends era, right? That's the whole quote unquote the sitcom of the Caucasian Americans, right?
Right, exactly.
That was the high that world. That okay, yeah. So I can see how that works. So, tell us about this screenplay. This your very first one here.
Well, I was working for the Southern California Indian Center, and they had a program called the Intertribal Entertainment, and they were going to try to produce, write, direct, act, all native, all cast. That's what the executive director wanted. That's why she built the program. And I was part of that program. And I had decided, well, if I'm going to start to write anything, I better start right now. No time like the present.
Yeah.
And I, got some screenwriting books and stuff. And then I watched a lot of TV, and I tried to figure out how, because when you switch from you switch from acting to writing, it's just a whole different world, because you just gotta change your tactics and change the way that you think when you write. And I wrote The Lost Native, and we were going to make it into a movie, because I wrote it, and then it was okay. I thought it was awful, but people read it, and then
Yes.
they decided that Intertribal Entertainment was going to produce it. And
Wow.
I had to go into rewrites, and it was set at a powwow, and it was about a native who had lost his son and to death. And then when he goes to this powwow, he runs into a native boy who was left at the powwow, and he was all alone. So he found the boy and renewed his life and all that crap. Because it really is kind of cliche, but
Yeah.
with a native point of view, and I titled it The Lost Native. But at the time, I was working with natives through the Intertribal Entertainment, and I ran into a few screenwriters who were native also, And they
Yes.
gave me good advice. They told me, one of them told me, if you need to write a budget for your independent film, he said, I think you should go to USC or UCLA to their accounting departments and have your script be one of their production budget accounting thesis, whatever, term papers. Yeah,
Wow,
that's
I didn't know you could
term
do
paper.
that. Wow.
And so I did. I went to USC and I hooked up with an accountant, and he used my Lost Native as his term paper production budget. So he had to put all the money together for the production budget. And we came up with $1 million budget for this indie film.
Yes.
And I just like that, I started getting advice from people how to try to get my screenplay produced.
What was your feeling when you first heard that you were going to get a budget? I mean, that had to be you had to be saying, "What? What? Really? Are you serious?"
Exactly. That was going through my mind. I was like, wow, and I said, well, okay, and I was the lead actor because I'm an actor. So
Yes.
I wanted to play the lead role, and I wrote it and blah, blah, blah. But the student accountant, he went for it. He wrote a whole budget. He produced it. He got an A+ in this term paper.
Nice.
So, and then I got advice from, because there's not a lot of help in Hollywood unless you go find it in workshops, that kind of thing. And I didn't have any money to go to these workshops.
So when you first got to Hollywood there, when you first got to California, LA, when you first got there, like right now, like what was your first step? Like what did you do during the day? Like at 7 o'clock, you got up, you went to the paper, you found castings, you went and did this,
Well,
that. Is that what you did? Or
this was 1990. I got to LA in 1997, and I had been working as a waiter in countless restaurants. And
wow, see, these are the gritty stuff. This is the good stuff here.
So yeah, and so at night, and I also worked fast food too. So
Okay.
I did both to make money and to pay the rent. And then what I did was at night, I worked my waiter jobs, my restaurant jobs, and then during the day, I searched for work, and I searched for. I made the mistake of searching for a talent agent. For the only reason was because I wasn't ready for it. I really wasn't. Because I had to do my business side. I had to because I'd been working really hard trying to get the right headshot.
Yes.
Theatrical as well as commercial. And it just wasn't working. I wasn't getting no callbacks, nothing with the pictures that I was sending out. And then I was at the time, because in the 90s, I was told by an agent in New Mexico, because I lived in Albuquerque before I went to LA. The agent told me, you've got to grow your hair long or get a wig, because you have to play, if you're going to play a native, the only roles that you're going to be required to play are Westerns or Indian warriors, that kind of thing.
Yes.
And I was in my
my God.
30s. I was in my 30s at that time, but I ran every day. I looked young. I looked 20,
Yes.
21. I was a cross country runner. And then when I got to LA, it was the same story, because I had to, I grew my hair out. It was down to my waist, and I hated it because I had to take care of it. I never had long hair when I was on the reservation. But when I got to LA, I decided I better take a new tactic.
Yes.
I had to, if I'm going to do this, I better get the right headshot as a Native American warrior. And then I didn't know anything about background extras. I knew something about it, but I always wanted to play the lead roles. I wanted the big roles on TV
Yes.
and movies. And I never thought about background until, this until this teacher told me, do you ever do background? I mean, you can make money that way. And I was non-union at that time when I got to LA. I was just green, but she told me that the teacher had told me that if you're going to do this native warrior thing, get a background extra role, because they're always looking for background natives. And she said you kind of look like a pretty boy, that I think you could do it. And I said, well, can I grow my mustache too? She goes, then you'll be looking for Mexican roles. Because at the time, and even today, but at that time in the 90s, we were all pigeonholed into certain genres. We couldn't, because there were no modern native roles in Los Angeles or in Hollywood at that time. There was only westerns and rodeos and that kind of thing. So I said, well, okay, I don't want to really do that extra work because I was busy trying to pay the rent. And I thought, how can I, do this, without spending so much money? Because I had to get my headshots and I had to get all that business side of it.
And understand, a lot of people don't know is that there weren't cell phones. I mean, there were cell phones, but they weren't the ones that we have now today. So headshots were $400 or $500? Is that how much they usually were?
In LA, they were quite a bit of money. You had to pay for the pictures. Then you had to pay for the copies that you had to send out to agents.
It's by mail too, right? Mail?
Yeah, by mail, by by regular snail mail. And then, during the mid 90s, this was 1997, cell phones were nil compared to today. I mean, cell phones.
Yeah.
And a lot of people had pagers to contact.
Sky pager.
So that you could go home and you had to go home and call people, or you had to go to a payphone to call people. So,
everybody running around with their quarters. You remember that?
Yeah, exactly.
I got a page. I got a page.
Exactly. I didn't have a page. My agent had a page, but in 1997, that was what I was faced with. And then a couple of years later, I had I wasn't really kind of angry about it, but when I went on several auditions, they had asked me to strip to my waist because they wanted to see my body.
Yes.
And I had long hair too. So, and I was like, okay, I'll do it. But as long as if I can get a work out of it, I'll do it.
Yes.
So I began stripping to my waist. I mean, I was skinny back then. I was really skinny. I was too skinny because I was a runner and I had a runner's body. I didn't have, these big stereotypical macho big guys that they were looking for. So then I decided, well, I got to figure out how I'm going to break into the business because there I was. I didn't have anything. I had no experience as an actor on TV or movies. And then I got an agent, but I went through several agents because then it just became, one of them wanted to change my whole look because I mentioned to her during one of our meetings, I said, I can't stand this long hair. I can't stand it. I hate it.
Yeah.
And I said, and I don't mind the stereotype. Just let me work. I could experience.
Yes.
And then one day she called me and she said, how'd you like to cut all your hair off? I jumped at it. I said, I'd love it. So then we went in and I cut my hair off. And I said, I want to be, other than just a modern native, I want to play other roles too.
Yeah.
And And then I went and got new headshots. And then I started to get on my way as a modern person in modern America instead of just being set back into the West. And, there were some roles that came up a couple of years later for Westerns, but I couldn't audition for them because I had short hair.
Yes.
And one of the casting directors told me, well, you can't put on a wig because they're going to notice it. And I said, well, okay, I'm not going to do it then.
What?
Because if you can go get a wig. And then I said, well, as a background extra, I could, I guess, but not as one of the lead roles. I mean, it's just,
Yeah,
go ahead.
the one else said they would have to weave that in, probably, huh, for your hair? They would have to
Exactly.
weave that in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the director said, well, you all can also weave it into your short hair. Because I think that's what Lou Diamond Phillips did once. I'm not sure. I don't know.
A lot of people out there, Lou Diamond Phillips played Chavis and Chavis on Young Guns. He's the famous one that says, Atsay! Atsay!
Yeah.
The ancient Navajo word.
So, and I don't know, there were a lot of actors. I think Johnny Depp got his weaves in his hair when he did that independent film. I'm not sure. Can't remember. It was back in the 90s. So then I thought, well, it's just not working. And I decided that I wanted to stay modern and not do the long hair thing anymore.
And during this whole time, you're still working your two jobs, and
yeah, I was still a waiter, that kind of thing. And
yeah.
then when I went to the Indian Center, the Southern California Indian Center, that's when they started to build that program, the Intertribal Entertainment. And I decided, well, if I'm going to, that's when my parents told me, well, why don't you just write something? So that's when I decided to write my first movie script. And I really didn't know anything about dialogue. So I had to, and relationships, because I really had a hard time. What am I trying to say? That kind of thing.
Yes.
Where is it going to be set? What genre is it? And that kind of thing. And you have to figure all that out before you even lay down your scenes. But I learned a lot about screenwriting. That was back in 2002. I sent that script out. I sent it to. It was kind of fun. It's kind of funny because I sent it to a screenwriting contest, and I didn't get anything on 3 of them. And then I decided, okay, I'll send it to a couple of producers, and then I didn't hear anything because in LA you don't hear anything. You don't get nothing back from producers or directors, nothing.
Yeah.
So, and that's how it is with acting too. You don't get a call from the casting director. You didn't get the part, and all of a sudden, the role you auditioned for is already out. They cast.
Yeah.
They cast him already. So they cast the actor. Then I began to. By 2005, I wrote my next script, which was an action thriller, or an action movie, and it was called Freedom Son. And by then I took a screenwriting class. I took a couple of screenwriting classes by then, and
yes,
I was still trying to be as an actor too. But I decided if I'm going to continue, and then I realized that I enjoy this writing a lot more than anything else, and to be a storyteller as a writer, I think that's important. Because a lot of people,
for sure,
well, across the board, because there are so many who want to write a script, but they can't, because it's like I said, you got to change your thinking, your tactics. As you can't just, it's got to
like when you're writing, like now, do you ever think about like, oh man, I should have paid attention, when I was in 8th grade when I was diagramming the sentence? So, or do you say, oh, this is what they were talking about, this is what they mean, or do you just kind of throw that out the window and say, hey, you know what? Let me
What is
see.
what is. Yeah. Whatever happens.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
No. Because when I was a kid, I wanted to be an actor. I mean, I was into classic movies and big movie stars, that kind of thing, from the golden age of Hollywood. And my family knew it. They all knew that I wanted to be an actor, and I
Yes.
went after it when I graduated from high school. I went after uh, theater classes, that kind of thing, and then college. I went into and I got my degree in theater arts. So back then, it was an acting job. That's what I wanted to be. It's what I wanted to do. It's what it was. I lived and breathed acting. I was really trying to, but I wanted to
Yes.
be. I wanted to get to LA. That was my whole thing. I remember back when I graduated high school, I was telling everybody, "Well, I'm going to pack up and move to Los Angeles." Everybody laughed. Everybody laughed. And then it took longer than I expected because I had to get off the reservation too. So
Yes.
that's a whole nother story. But when I left, uh,
What res did you come from? Because I'm sure
oh,
there's a lot of natives.
the Umatilla Indian Reservation in Pendleton, Oregon.
Pendleton, Oregon.
Yeah, home of the
Wow.
Pendleton Roundup Rodeo, one of the 10 biggest.
Dang, that's a big deal there. Here,
Yeah,
one thing I knew about Oregon is the full service gas stations.
yeah,
I got
exactly.
I got in trouble putting gas in over there, and I was telling the guy, I was like, no, I'll get it. He's like, no, it's the law. You have to stay in your vehicle. And I stayed in the vehicle. I was like, it was so weird for somebody putting in gas. You know what I mean? It's like, this is how horror movies start. This is how it starts. And
Yeah,
these redwood trees are
exactly.
big here.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah, and uh, the Umatilla Indian Reservation is on eastern Oregon, and
So,
it's
so were you there for Mount St. Helens when Mount St. Helens blew up?
no, me and my family. That was 1980. Me and my
I think it
family
was 80.
were, yeah, me and my family were down south at the Oregon State University powwow
Oh
when
man.
when it exploded, and then when we got back home in eastern Oregon, everything was covered in ash
Oh,
because
I bet.
the ash floated from the west all the way to the east, all the way into Idaho. So yeah, we missed it.
Well,
We
I just
missed the
let our
whole
audience know out there. Mount St. Helens in Washington. It's Washington, right?
right.
Well, Mount St. Helens of Washington volcano blew up. I think it's the last known volcano that's blown up in over here in North America itself here. And I remember seeing the sky as a kid, seeing it kind of like grayish, like this.
Yeah,
I
very
remember that
nice.
part, but yeah, that's
Yeah,
crazy. So you
you
guys
couldn't
just
see
missed it.
if you were close to the mountain. You couldn't see. It was so thick because when it exploded, it knocked down the whole forest west of the
Whoa.
mountain. And from Portland, Oregon, which is a city, you can see if you look north, you can see Mount Hood and
Yes.
Mount St. Helens that blew up. You could see the mountain is the top of it was ripped off. You could see it even today. So, but
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah,
There's a lake in there, right? There's a lake in there, isn't there? Like a
yeah.
lake.
Willamette something. I can't remember. I can't. It's been a while
Yeah. Well,
since
that's
I've
so
been there.
crazy that you were that close to the volcano over there. That's an idea right there. That's a storyline right there.
Yeah, you
That's
can put a story around it, I guess. Yeah,
yeah, St. Helens as
yeah,
a kid there, and how you missed it. That's that kind of like that Final Destination thriller there, you know?
yeah. Or we could try to escape it. It'd be kind of like a
Yeah.
survival story.
No, escape it back in the 1700s. Put it in the 1700s so there's no vehicle where everybody's on foot. You have to escape it on foot. You know what I mean? Do you go into the cave? Does the lava go down the cave and do you go up? Or, hey, You
By
know,
horse,
that's
by
one.
horse or whatever, by donkey.
My yeah, my
No,
donkey.
yeah.
Yeah.
You can only get up there by donkey.
Gotta be riding
Then,
that ass. That's what we be saying, right?
yeah,
Ride that
yeah,
ass. Yeah. Well, this is
exactly.
I guess this is a rated R show too. It could be.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it could be rated R. So I guess we'll get down to the nitty gritty and start talking the rated R stuff here. But you know what? That's so crazy how you just missed that there. You know what I mean, man?
We
So
didn't
when you were
know that
going
it
through
was
all
gonna.
this,
Yeah, we didn't know it was gonna explode. We heard that in the news that it might explode, but we didn't know when. And then by I think it was either President Carter or Reagan. Reagan announced something about, be careful up in Oregon, something like that. And then, well, we usually go to that powwow anyway. So we went to,
yes,
OSU powwow south. It was in Salem, Oregon, south of Portland. And then when we were coming back to go home to the reservation, we heard on the news, the radio, that Mount St. Helens erupted. And then we saw all the dust everywhere when we were traveling back
wow.
home. So, yeah, we missed
The
it.
drum saved you. The drum saved you guys. The
Exactly.
drum. You
And
know what? There's a
it was just a mini powwow.
wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. You
Well,
know,
I think it
there's
was
a guy from World War II who was talking about like, but what happened to you there? And the drum saved him too. He was talking about how he kept hearing the drum, and he kept following the drum, and the drum got him back to base where he was saved. You know. And now that you're talking about like you guys went to a powwow, so the power of the drum is real. Holy cow!
exactly. Well, from what I
That's
understand, what I heard later through Indian country up in the Northwest, a lot of the animals that were on the mountain, they all disappeared
yes.
before the volcano erupted. So they knew, nature knew what was going to happen. And when it did explode, then I guess the animals came back about 6 months later, that kind of thing. So we heard that. I was
Wow.
like, wow, that's interesting. It's interesting how nature can predict, what's going to happen, what's going on.
Yeah, for sure.
Earth rumblings.
Especially that the volcano. What about the other thing that about Oregon I heard about was are you familiar with the DB Cooper story?
Oh yeah, when he jumped out of the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's this MMA guy named by the name of Chael Sonnen. He was saying that he was good friends, that his grandfather was good friends with JB Cooper, and that the only reason why they never found JB Cooper is because he was Native American, and that JB Cooper was half Native, and that JB Cooper just went to the res where everybody else is looking everywhere because the cops can't go on the res. Long story short, how crazy is that?
No
Now,
kidding. Wow.
yeah. So
They've done
when
so many
everybody,
stories. Yeah, they've done so many stories on him. They even made a movie
yes,
about him. I used to
yes,
watch. I remember Unsolved Mysteries. They did
yeah,
a whole segment on DB Cooper, but
Netflix
it's
too.
mystery. Yeah, they don't know where he is or what happened.
Yeah,
So
that's what
wow, that'd be interesting. That'd be a story.
Chael
He went to
Sonnen.
the
That's what he
res.
said. Yeah, he
He
said
went to
that
the res. Yeah.
he went to the res, that he was Native, and that he lived like a good life. He died in Arizona. That's where he ended up dying. But he said that everybody in that community know that it was him. But of course, all natives, everybody probably partied on it. So it was a good party for people. So,
Yeah,
but
exactly. We
that's
know
what he
the
said. That's what
secret.
Chael Sonnen said. He said that his family was good friends with DB Cooper and his family, and that they were native, and that's the reason why they couldn't find him when he jumped out. He just went straight to the reservation because nobody would have ever thought a Native American would be smart enough or to be even willing to pull something like that off, and he did, and that's how it happened. So then I guess he said the FBI contacted him and they just took
Really?
his story. Yeah, and he said that they never said anything or did anything. He said they just took his story down, they called him, and that was it. And then I started thinking about that. I was like, shit, that makes sense. I mean, they can't just go over there if they don't know him. You know what I mean? I mean, you have to go through all the red tape for the sovereign nation to get on the res, right?
Right. Exactly. And
And
Indians can keep, or the Indian families can keep a secret. I mean, it's like, what's on the reservation stays on the reservation. That's
yeah,
interesting. That would be an interesting story too.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
an
when I thought
interesting
of that,
movie.
I was when I
Yeah.
thought of it, you know what I thought about? I thought about Rambo. You know what I mean? Remember how he
Oh
falls out?
God. Yeah.
He rose through
Exactly.
everything. I was like, that's what I thought about. I was like, that guy literally, that's the real Rambo right there. If you think about it, and he's actually real Native American. You know how John Rambo is supposed to be Navajo, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the best story. It's supposed to be his descendant is supposed to be Navajo, but this guy is the real John Rambo, jumping out a plane, getting away with it, and running through the forest. Come on now, that's some
Wow.
native stuff there.
And then, back then they didn't even have cell phones or internet, or they just had, walkie-talkies and
Yep.
landline
And
phones.
GPS was probably only strictly used for military use only, not
The
something like this
CIA.
here. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly. The CIA. That's it.
It just went through air. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Okay.
man, yeah,
Got away
that's
with it.
crazy there. That's a
That's it.
story idea you could probably get into there too as well there. So now let's get back to 4 days to Albuquerque. We kind of got off the subject here.
That's okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So now with 4 days to Albuquerque here, this one here now, there's a lot of people you got involved with this one here, this project here. Did you want to say, you know what, I'm gonna get, I want this many people here, I want this many characters in here, or I mean, how did you come up with all that? Because that's a lot to corral in.
Well, I wanted to. Well, first of all, I decided if I'm going to keep the story intact, I want to keep all my actors and actresses. I wanted to keep
Yes.
most of the cast. And then when I started to cut dialogue and cut scenes to keep the story intact, the actors were still there. So what I had to do was I had to ask several actors to do dual parts, and
Oh, okay.
you can't even notice on the radio show, the radio western.
Yes.
You can tell, but it's not. I made the actors. I made several of the actors change their voice. A couple of them did really good, and you can't tell that that's the same person. Can you?
Yeah.
so,
No, no, you
so you
can't.
can.
Like
You can.
that's what
I
I mean.
never got
When
any. I
people
didn't.
hear it, when they listen to it, I mean, when the audience, we're gonna play it for you guys. As soon as we get done with the interview, we're gonna go ahead and start the show here, so you guys can listen to it. But I mean, when they're gonna know exactly what we're talking about here. I mean, once you get your headphones on and start listening to this here, you're gonna hear all these characters. And to think that there's a person playing two characters, three characters, I mean, that's a lot too, especially. Well, I guess you
I
could say
didn't know
that
how to
comes from the
do it.
Native American side, right? Because we have accents and we can make
Yeah,
our voice without accents, like the British people.
exactly. And I told the actors that were playing dual parts. I said, "This is what I'm trying to do," because because I was doing it at the public library, I was recording them. I said, "Look," I said, "you have a dual part. I need for you to change not your dialect. I just need you to change the way that you sound." And they were willing to do it. The actors were willing to do anything to get a performance. They didn't know how it was going to turn out, but
Yes.
I told them, I said, it's going to work because I have a huge cast and I want it. I have to say, I willed it to work because I have a dozen characters and I couldn't have more than 4 in a scene because then the audience would have been confused, really
Yes.
confused. And then I reminded myself to tell each actor not to, just to be you. Don't be anybody else. Don't try to sound Navajo. Don't try to sound reservation. Yeah, I had to pull a couple of them back because they sounded the way that they worded their words sounded reservation. It's like
Yes.
an example is the word then. They would say den.
With the D.
Yeah. Okay, den.
Yes.
and I
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
heard it.
Exactly.
I heard it, and I had to stop the recording. And they would laugh because that's how they sound when they're on the reservation. And I said, "That's
Yeah.
great." I said, "That's great because I turn reservation boy when I go home." I said,
Yeah.
"But what I need you to do is for the English audience, I want you to say then, but you'll still sound like you." And so they did it. And then I had to actually I didn't do anything else. I wanted to knock it down to I didn't have more than 4 people during the scene. Even though, we had what, four deputies? 3 deputies.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Is
had
it?
the
I think
sheriff
it's.
and his
I thought it's
deputies.
three. Is it three? Three,
Yeah,
right? Three.
yeah, and they all died. What's the difference when they all
Well,
died?
I think they died, right? Because we haven't played the screenplay for the audience here, so we think
Exactly.
they died. So we don't know yet because there
Yeah.
might be a part two
Well,
coming.
we
So
don't know that it was in which movie.
yeah, so
So
yeah, we'll
then,
we'll see what happens.
exactly. So then, what happened was with the story, I wanted to bring in the Navajo clan system, and I wanted to bring
Woo! That
two
is tough, though.
two enemy clan two enemy clan families that are
Yes.
in the
Okay.
back
Well, that I can understand that. Yes.
that are in the background, and they're women fighting over land that Lena has. And then I wanted it to be, and with each clan, with the history of the Navajo clans, enemy clans have witches. And I decided, well, let's have the jealous clan have a Navajo witch that was given to her family. And that's the part you play. You play the Navajo witch. And I wanted it to be, I wanted the sheriff, when he kidnapped the 2 brothers, to go into this mountain that's owned by this Navajo witch. And he has to hunt them down. I mean, that really is the story. The real hunt begins because the 2 brothers survive. and, and it's,
But like when the audience hears this portion of the story, it definitely gets intense in your headphones. With the sound effects. Like the way you set it up with the sound effects and including the music, the intro. Who is it? Is it Ross Gruden? Is that his name?
Budgeon.
Ross Budgeon. Yeah. The intro song that's a catchy tune, because when you think about the Western, such as like Clint Eastwood is the first thing to come to mind, they've
Yeah.
always had that classic catchy song,
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
the
And
guy?
that's
The
how,
guy.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
Well, I got that idea from the TV shows. When they do their intro with the story, they always have when they do the intro to the story, then they have the theme song, like Bonanza
Yes.
and the Big Valley. So what I wanted to do was with audio, I wanted to have the Sanchez brothers rob the bank, and then as the introduction, and then I had an intro. So I thought, okay,
Yes.
let's see what kind of Western intro that I could find. And I
So
found
so
this
did
one.
did you get help in doing the editing, or did you do all that yourself too? Because there's a lot of sound effects that you got to go through. I mean, I know like when making commercials, you got to add like the light sound. You got to add every sound that you want. You got to add it into where the audience they don't realize that you're adding all this in. You know what I mean? Did you do all the editing? Did you get hired out
Yeah,
or?
yeah. At first I had an editing person who edits podcasts, and
Yes.
he had gotten a job last fall, and I decided, well, you know what, I gotta do this on my own if I'm gonna will this project to life.
Yes.
So I got some editing software, and I decided to work on it, and I found all my sound effects, and then first I wanted to get the dialogue laid down first with each scene. Then
Yes.
I laid down the sound effects. And what I loved about editing was I added everybody's characters in each scene. The story began to come alive, and it was really exciting. I was like, wow, this sounds good. We have a good story here. And then
and
I
and
thought
just
it's
think the
going to
stuff
sound
you
better.
couldn't leave in, right? The stuff you
Right,
couldn't leave in, right? Because
right,
I'm sure you probably had hours and hours of stuff.
exactly. And I had to really look at, because it's the West, we have to transport them back to 1878. I had to work only with Western sounds. So, horses, the
You gotta
chains,
think,
the
man,
shackles, the gunshots, the wind, the rain, the thunder,
the
even
detail.
the Navajo witch, when he sounds, it's when we first hear him
Oh yeah.
in the mountains. He's there in the mountains. I mean, he's a threat, and we know what's going to come because the brothers.
You can definitely tell with the music once they get to that portion of the play, yeah, they're gonna definitely hear that part there. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's gonna be good. I can't wait
So
for the audience to hear it. You know what I mean? It's gonna be, yeah,
yeah,
it's gonna
and
be exciting.
so with the editing, I had to decide whether I'm going to work and have fun or just have fun and just lay it all out, because that's part of the story that I have as the screenplay, the movie.
Yes,
And I thought, well, if I'm going to go all the way with adapting it to radio, I might as well finish it myself.
yes,
So then it just, people were concerned about the racism because we had to kidnap the brothers, and I had to go all the way with it, because I think I told you when we did the actor table read back in 2019 for the movie script, the Navajo actors were quite angry. I mean, they were really, because of the racism.
yes.
I could feel it when they walked in the door. They were concerned. They were
Yeah,
concerned, but I had to tell them, and the actors. I said, you're a performer, and this story relates to a lot of racism, and just play it. Don't worry about it. Just play it. And the sheriff, who was the most racist of all, he
yeah, he
wanted us,
was.
you know,
Yeah, he was.
he went for it. I said,
Who
just
played the
go for it.
sheriff?
Yeah, just go for it, because people are gonna. I said, you're gonna die anyway. Like that.
Well, we think he's gonna die. We think he's gonna die. So, again, this might be
The
part
witch is gonna
two.
get you.
You know
So,
what I mean?
sometimes you gotta go all the way with it. You can't just, because that's the part of the villain's plan
Yes.
was, even though I want Lena Claus land, everybody wants her land, because deep down, I want to hunt down a Navajo specifically, and
Yes.
I want to kill him. And, you could hear, what I loved about the story was you could hear the deputies listen to him. They're like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? He goes, I don't need land. I got a lot of land. gonna hunt some Navajos. And then they all start falling into line. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then
Yes, yes.
that's where the two brothers come in. They stumble into they're just herders and farmers. They're just herding sheep and they're kidnapped. They fall into this
Wait till they hear the
village
beginning
plan.
of the beginning starts off with a bang, everybody. Yeah, you guys are gonna definitely enjoy this. You guys are gonna definitely enjoy 4 days to Albuquerque for sure.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you this here. Now where what do you want to? Are you gonna be pushing 4 days to Albuquerque more? Are you gonna be where's it going with this one here? Are you gonna be making different project again, or are you planning on making 4 days to Albuquerque into a video or
Movie.
what's your plans with it?
Yeah. Well, always in the beginning, because it's a screenplay, and first it was a TV pilot, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what I did was I thought, well, let's make it into a full-fledged movie, either a TV movie or a motion picture, independent film or whatever. And after I do this radio thing, then I can rewrite the movie script and try to get money that way, so that I can, if anybody wants to know, well, how can I get the story of this Western? I said,
Yes,
well,
yeah.
I did a radio show of it. You can listen to that kind of thing, to help get funding for a movie.
Okay.
But
Nice. Okay.
that was the plan right from the start. And I decided, well, the radio thing was just to help it get to where
Yes.
it's going. And then, to go a little bit farther, I have two other scripts that I adapted to radio to do the same thing, because I had two other movie scripts, and all three of them, have to deal with Navajo witches. So
Nice. Nice.
once I get writing, it just didn't stop. But that's what I've been trying to do for the last, since I left Los Angeles, 10 years. And it's coming together, and it's all about story and about character and about, and this is where you can come in when you have all these stories to tell, because a lot of natives say, I got all these stories to tell, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then you can, but once you get down what you want to say and what the genre that you want to do, then you can tell the stories you want. And like I told in my interview, I was telling Dan about, because I live in Albuquerque, I'm connected to a lot of Navajo. There's a lot of Navajos in Albuquerque. And
Yes.
not just, in the city, but in entertainment, and, they're everywhere. And
in Albuquerque area, in the Albuquerque area.
exactly. And then I said, and I'm really, I wanted
Those
to do.
Those Canadian natives are taking over a little bit, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, they always go back to
No
Canada.
offense, Canadian natives.
Yeah.
You and your
So,
band,
yeah,
you
exactly.
and your Bannocks. You guys can eat all your Bannocks.
Yeah,
Hey. Now we're all the
exactly.
same.
So it's really, and I was fascinated by the Navajo culture and these clans. So then what comes out of that is a lot of good stories. So the three movie scripts that I wrote, they're already written, is this one, 4 Days to Albuquerque, Tribal Cop, which is a modern action about another Navajo witch, and then Gabby is a thriller set in the art world about this girl who inherits from her matrilineal grandmother, and someone sends a Navajo witch, or a Navajo witch comes to Santa Fe to kill her, because
Nice.
one of the aunt who got disinherited wants
Yeah.
she wants that land and that money. But Gabby has her own problems. It's set in Santa Fe, but it's a thriller.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, that is a good script. They all are.
Well, that one sounds
But
crazy
that-
already. I mean, anything with the
That one-
Skinwalker sounds crazy.
But it has to do. Well, I base all my Navajo witch stories on clans and enemy clans and how
Yes.
the witches work within those clans, because it's not like they're created and then they go out and kill white people. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
it's a Navajo thing. It's a Navajo clan system thing. And I delved into that, and it's exciting. So then I got a lot of stories to tell. So then you got to write it down. You got to sit down and write it. And that's
Well,
the fun.
anytime you have shape shifting of people turning into animals, I mean, that's always great. Do you remember that 1980 show called Manimal? And the guys
yeah.
turned into
Yeah.
was it an anaconda, an eagle, and a leopard? Or was it a
Yeah.
leopard? Or yeah, so
The blonde guy.
yeah, I think it's the guy that played Beastmaster, right? Back in it was 82 or somewhere, 81.
No, it was
Do you
a
remember
different actor.
Beastmaster?
Yeah, I
Okay.
remember that. It was a different
So
actor, I think, but it didn't last very long. Remember?
Just to let our audience know, Beastmaster came out like in the 80s. If you guys, that's more like your Conan type of movies. That's what Beastmaster. That's what we're currently talking about here. But that was the good days. You know what movie should come back? I think they should make another Conan. Like
Conan the Barbarian.
Conan the Barbarian. Whether they pick up the story from where he left off from the actual Conan the Barbarian, or pick it up, down the line here. I don't know if Arnold should play it, you know what I mean, or maybe do a son, but they should do another Conan. The one they did with Jason Momoa was blah. It was okay.
When was that? That was a couple of years ago, right? It was.
I think the one with.
I thought it was awful.
Yeah, it was awful. Yeah, I shouldn't say it, but yeah, it was bad. I think that one came out like in 2005. I think it came out way long time ago. Yeah,
Then they had the miniseries, I think. Right?
They had a Conan miniseries?
I think so. I'm not sure.
I gotta check that out.
It might have been Hercules. I'm not sure.
I know Hercules had one. Yeah, Hercules had one there. Yeah,
well,
definitely Hercules had one.
Conan with Arnold, that was an original camp, funny. I mean, it was really original. They'd have to go back to originality too.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And there was hardly any dialogue. Like the whole thing, there was hardly any dialogue. It was literally just all emotion in the face, just everything. Just right now, I'm gonna say right now to everybody, the whole wide earth, that Conan is the best movie made with the best soundtrack made, hands down.
Wow. Yeah.
To me, I would say, yeah. To me, yeah, because
at least it's not. At least it's not the Barbarians. Remember that?
the twins, right?
Yeah.
The two bodybuilder twins. So to our audience, the people who are young,
they were trying to be Arnold, and they were trying.
Yes.
That was hilarious. Oh my God.
Remember they played twin babysitters too?
Oh really?
Yeah, they did, because I believe at that time Hulk Hogan was big, and they came out with a movie. Remember Suburban Commando, where he was the babysitter too, or I think it was called Mr. Nanny, the babysitter, or Suburban Commando. But that was when he was he played that type of character, and then all these people came out being like a babysitter too. I remember that. The Barbarian.
Hulk Hogan couldn't do. He tried to do the Rocky thing too. Remember that?
Oh man,
the black guy who was trying to be.
Yeah.
He's trying to be Mr. T.
Yes.
I want you. I want Balboa.
Yeah. Yes. What's his name? Glover.
I don't know.
What was his name? Okay, people are gonna be yelling it. People are yelling it right now. People are yelling his name right now.
Yeah.
What the H was his name? See.
Well, the shape-shifting thing. What we have to do with that, and what I've tried to do in all my screenplays, because it's visual.
Yes.
You can't show it.
No.
Because if you show it, then it just becomes people start laughing.
Yes,
If
for
you,
sure.
because it's not, and you can't just, you got to explain what it is, because a lot of these recent Skinwalker films, they don't really explain it. They don't really, and then people are confused. And it's like, why is this? What's going on here? Because if you confuse your audience, then you might as well not make a movie or make, a radio show for that matter.
Yes, yeah.
Because it's what's interesting is what's in my scripts. They only come out at night, and you have to work it in a way where you don't see them shapeshift, but you know that they did. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Know that they shapeshift, but you can't see it. So then it becomes a battle of, that kind of thing.
Have you ever seen the Skinwalker?
No, and I don't want to.
I've seen two of them. I've seen two of them.
Oh my
The
God.
last one, was right there at through New Mexico. Is in between Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Albuquerque and Gallup, New Mexico. There's a small place called Through New Mexico, and that's like on the outer borders. It's a border town on the reservation, is what we call it. And I was driving through there at midnight, and there was something stopped at the side of the road there, and it was an Apache traditional dresser. He was Apache. He had the headdress on. He was like 9 feet tall with the headdress on and standing on the side of the road. And I freaked out. I was driving. Right when I turned to the front to drive back again, there was a big tire in the middle of the road, and I swerved around it. And at that moment, I knew. I was like, "Oh man, they're trying to get people here. They're trying to get people here."
You're kidding.
That was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. It was an Apache traditional dresser.
Was it late at night?
Yeah, it was right around midnight, because I was coming through. Oh yeah, I was going back to Smith Lake. I was driving through that area, and that whole area is kind of scary itself there.
Yeah.
And then another one I saw was where there was a deer in the middle of the sheep. And my grandpa, well, first we heard all the dogs barking and everything like that. And this is when I was in third grade, and I was going to school at Gallup. But on the weekends, I used to stay over there at Coyote Canyon. And my grandpa there, we heard the dogs barking and everything like that. And it was just me and him. And he got me up too, because he can't really see good at night. So I was helping him, and then he got the gun ready, and we pointed the flashlight, and then we saw this deer right in the middle of the sheep there. And it jumped over the fence there, and when it was going away in the tree, it looked like it got up on two legs and was like walking, and we couldn't. I mean, I couldn't tell it was like that, because it happened so fast. But that's what it looked like. You know what I mean?
Wow.
But yeah, those are the two times.
No way.
And it was
really?
freaky. Yeah, because a lot of the like when they communicate, I know that they do they swing that leather strap or whatever, and it goes like because at Coyote Canyon we would hear that, like you would hear on one side of the canyon, and then you would hear it on the other side of the canyon. You hear that. So when I saw that in a movie called The Missing, remember with Tommy Lee Jones, how that talk about the
yeah.
So when that guy did that native guy, the skinwalker that was playing that guy there, when he did that, I shit my pants. I hate to say it, but I was like, holy shit, because I was like, whoever did this they really knew what they were talking about, I was like, God dang, man, this freaked me out. So, but yeah, those are the skinwalker stuff.
Yeah, it depends on the tribe, right? Because with Navajos and Apaches, it can be different. Because also the Skinwalker Ranch, that's up there. That's in the Four Corners area, right?
Yes, yeah.
And people have had, instances with that, sightings with that. And then they have that really awful show, Skinwalker Ranch, which is just ridiculous. It's like a ghost hunter thing that they don't even know how to. The thing with that is when you start playing with the darkness like that, you want to go into Skinwalker Ranch or Canyon, whatever.
Yeah.
you better be careful because something can attach itself to you, that kind of thing. And
For
it's
sure.
really, you can't play around with, native traditions. And people
No, when
don't,
it comes to that spiritual
people
side,
laugh at it because it's witchcraft and that kind of thing. But when it happens to you, it's really, it's serious. And within
it
my
is.
the screenplays that I write, you have to have respect for the family and for what's being done. Because if you don't, then it can turn into, a horror film or something. That's not,
Yeah.
that's what you're not trying to do because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
real. Because it's really, you're taking it from real life. And if
I always tell
if
people, like if you don't mess with people, like try not to mess with like the native people, and then you got the traditional Mexican people and the Jamaicans. If you mess with those three people, you're probably pretty much going to be dealing with spiritual forces of witchcraft. You know what I mean? That
exactly
kind of goes in
exactly.
with your story like that. You know what I mean? I mean, it's freaky.
Well, one of the actors who played one of the brothers, Nathaniel Harrison, he was
Yes.
telling me he did a couple of my table reads, but he was telling me he's Navajo, but he was telling me
Yes.
that I think it was one of his friends, because it comes in different forms. These Navajo witches, and
Yes.
he said that one of his friends, I think, was driving at night, and he picked up these two Navajo brothers, and they got into his back of his truck, and the man wanted to give them some water, and they refused. They didn't speak to him. And then when he parked his truck and went into the gas station or something,
Yeah.
and they were gone. And I guess they wanted a ride from one place to the next. And I guess he assumed that it was, from what Nathaniel told me, was the guy assumed that they were searching for someone.
Yeah.
So, and it scared him. He was like, I never rode on that. He
Dang.
goes, I never drove on that road ever again. I think that's what he said. I wouldn't have. But
There was a thing back in the 80s. I think it was early 90s. Do you remember when Channel 13 from Albuquerque, New Mexico, CBS Channel 13, no, KRQE Channel 13, they went to Crown Point to find the Skinwalker. Do you remember that?
God, no, I
I,
don't.
it was
Sorry.
with Larry. It's with Larry Barker. I think it was like in 91 or 92. There's the guy his name is Larry Barker. He does all the secret reports and everything that he's been
Yeah,
like on every
I know him.
channel.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
I know.
so he went out there, and I remember they were trying to go to like Little Water area, and they were like filming out in the dark, and then they were trying to whistle, and then they were like talking to relatives because some murder happened, and they were blaming it on a skinwalker over there, but they tried to get one on camera, and they were trying to get people to talk on camera. I remember that. That's so vivid right now. That's crazy. And then now when you think about the skinwalker stuff, I mean, uh, from what I heard, this is from an elder. From what I heard, how the skinwalker thing goes. I don't know if I told you this one here. Is that the skinwalkers were actually the protectors of the Navajo people at one time. They were like the Navy SEALs. They were the top military people. So they were sent out to fight the Apaches, the Mexicans, and the Utes, everybody. So then they got this reputation of being very, very brutal. So everybody was scared of them. So when the European people came in, and when they had guns, they couldn't protect a lot of the Navajo people. So what happened is a lot of the skinwalkers started working as scouts, working against the people. So when the Navajo people, when these clans found out that these skinwalkers were doing that, so what happens was they started exiling all these clans with the skinwalkers, with people who had skinwalkers in their families, and they would
Wow.
kill their families, and then they would get the skinwalker out. So what happened was everybody who survived ended up just becoming their one own people there, and at that moment they said okay, now they turned their back on us, turned their back on them. So now our duty is to live prosperous, make the most money we can, and we're going to haunt the hell out of all the Navajo people until death, because they turned their back on us. According to an elder, that's what I was told. So that's what we get here today as far as your good and your evil when, with the skinwalker stuff for natives, for the Navajo people, I should say. That's one of the ones I heard.
Yeah, well, it sounds like, it's not necessarily something that's, you walk on the reservation and everything's evil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because with a lot of the tribes and with a lot of tradition, a lot of these, from where I come from, they're called Indian doctors. They're there to protect the family. They're there to, because there are forces that we don't understand or that we don't believe in that are happening to us. So, and it's got the skinwalkers have had a bad rap
for sure.
And what I tried to do with 4 Days to Albuquerque was I said, let's, even though we're bringing it back to the West, I mean, this was a century ago.
Yeah.
That it's still part of the culture and it's still part of, the landscape, so to speak. And what I try to do with my stories is there's a point to the story. It's not like, you know what I mean? It's not like the Navajo witch in Grandpa Benali just owned a mountain and he just starts killing.
Mm-hmm. No, there's a whole different story. We're just talking about a bit of points here. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna be playing the play here. We're gonna be playing the story. We're gonna be playing it after we get done with this here, so you guys can enjoy it here. I mean, there's so much of the story that's going on with everybody that's coming in, and with the sound effects. I mean, it's awesome when you guys hear it. And again, make sure you guys listen with the headphones on. I can't express how much it is, so that way you can feel the experience even more. It's kind of like watching Doctor Strange 2, the Mouth of Madness in 3D. You know what I mean? You got his head.
Exactly.
I mean, you got the experience. You know what I mean? Close your eyes, sit back, and because storytelling like this is going away, and it's up to people like you there, Mr. Pond, here to keep us, in our culture and keep telling these stories for our younger generation to understand too as well, because a lot of people are talking about AI writing this. Nah, I mean, you have your knowledge over here. You know what I mean? So with our native community, you can definitely help us with this stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's, KUNM, what they did was they, even though they uploaded my, what I did was I wanted to do it mono instead of stereo because I wanted the Navajo actors to be heard because they have these heavy accents. But what they did was they uploaded it to stereo, and it sounded really good when I heard it. I was like, "Wow, this is good." I mean, it was a good broadcast, a good interview.
Yes.
And I thought, "Wow,
let's go ahead and promote them. Let's promote them. You did an interview with KUNM, correct there?
Right. KUNM, and Dan Ware was the one who contacted me. Said, how would you like to put it on KUNM on Sunday during the Native American segments? And I said, sure, let's do it. Let's, and then David, who's a DJ with KUNM, he had a part. He played the Pueblo chairman in this story. And he was really scared, but he did really good. He did
DJ
good.
Dave, yeah. The
I'm telling you guys, once I laid the tracks down, and if you have a good story and good characters, and you have a villain and a hero, then when you lay it all down, it turns into a good story, and you care about these people. I mean, I think that Lena Claw is very important because she's a matriarch, really, of this family.
She's the hyena, literally.
Yeah, they didn't do anything. She didn't do anything but own land. And then the other thing was the government. Some of the natives were like, the goddamn government, they're always taking something. And I said,
sure.
well, I said, I wanted that to be part of the story because, basically, when I did my research, by 1900, the Navajos that owned land in New Mexico were pushed to the west, pushed into Arizona. And I thought, well, wouldn't that be an interesting insert to Lena Claw? Because she owns land in New Mexico, and the government, they not only want to buy it at a cheap price, but they just want to push her to the west because the boundaries in the west would also move east. So, natives were pushed onto reservations, and I think that's an important part of the story. And I think that's why, even the government didn't like her.
It goes great with all the history buffs too, because in 1924, I mean, that's when Native rights were able to vote. So I mean, it mixes in great with the story too. I mean, that's only 99 years ago. It's only 99 years ago that we were able to. They let us vote on our very own property. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And and to set it, I thought it would be more interesting. It could have been a modern Western too, but I thought, well, how can I, if it's a TV show, how can I get this like the Big Valley or Bonanza? How can I get this to the West?
Yes, for sure.
And then I thought, wow, let's do it. I mean, then it has layers to it because when you listen to it, this family, the Claw family, and what's important to them and their story of survival against.
Let's for sure. Well, before we go any further here, let's let our audience know here when they can hear, where they can hear it, and once you give them some information on like your blog and stuff like that, so that way they can tune in, so that way they can start following you as well, because you have several different great projects coming up here. So let our audience know how they can get in touch with you and your social media sites there.
Okay, first of all, the Western is already uploaded to SoundCloud. And all you have to do is Google SoundCloud Roscoe Pond, and it will come up. It has the full Western, and then it also has the trailer to the Western. And then you can go to I have an entertainment blog, and one of the pages of that blog is another blog page called 4 Days to Albuquerque.blogspot.com. And that has all the information. It has the picture of all the actors. It has their names. It has the trailer up. It has all the special effects. It has the theme music to the to the Western. That's Ross Budgeon. And it has all the information, the news that I had before I put it all up on SoundCloud. And then KUNM, I think this week is the last week that you can listen to it on KUNM. It's in the archives called 4 Days to Albuquerque with my interview. And it ran about a week and a half ago on KUNM. The premiere was on Sunday. And then the next 2 weeks, it was in the archives. So you have one more week before it disappears if you want to listen to, the Western and my interview. And I, thank you, Dan, for, giving me a block on national radio, KUNM.
Yes.
So,
yeah. And then the audience know out there, KUNM is 89.9 is 89.9? Yeah, 89.9 FM is KUNM radio. It's your community channel station there. It's run also by one of the actors on the show. His name, I know by DJ Dave there, the Iceman. He runs the Singing Wire, which runs in Albuquerque, from Albuquerque, and Singing Wire has been on the air for I think the 70s. I that's how long Singing Wire. It's been going on for a long time, and to have your show on there, I mean, that's big time, you know.
That's great. Thank you, FM. I mean, FM. The people that couldn't listen to it in the Southwest, they just live streamed it from wherever they were from from the website, KUNM website. So they got to listen to it that way. And they were emailing me and calling me and saying, "Wow, we heard it. That's great." I mean, you know, and it gave me more exposure, so to speak.
Yes, for sure.
And
And
then
let's go ahead and give our audience your address again here. It's roscoepond.blogspot.com. Is that correct?
right.
Yeah,
And then
roscoepond.blogspot.com, and that's where you can get all the current information about what's going on with your writing, what's going on here with that too. So,
yeah.
but yeah, 4 days to Albuquerque. Definitely, you guys are in for a treat for this one here. Again, guys, make sure you guys listen to it in headphones when you can. There, we're also going to be premiering it on Earth Rock Radio here after we get off the line here. We're going to be premiering it, and then we're going to have it on here probably at least once a week here right now. You know, we'll probably put it on the weekends here. We're doing it on Sundays here, so that way everybody can. By that time, everybody's home, got done doing whatever they're doing for the weekend, they can sit back and listen to the radio station. You know what I mean? And fall
Yeah.
asleep and get ready for Monday. So yeah, so we'll be airing it on Sundays too as well, so that everybody can tune in. As well, you know, you're going to be able to hear it everywhere, basically.
Cool. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Great. That's
So
good.
you know what? Yeah. You know what? We've been, man, this is going up. We're at an hour and a half now. How crazy is that?
Wow,
It's gone
really?
by so fast, huh?
Oh my God.
It's gone by so fast. It feels like we haven't even got into the situation here. It seems like we haven't even got into the aspect of acting here, and what happened over here when you were, you know, like getting these ideas from. You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of people want to know, like where, like these lines, like for example, Quentin Tarantino. You know, he's famous for having these dialogues, you know, these sessions here, and putting them together, and with the great camera work and stuff here. So, you know, it's just mesmerizing. It's just to think about writing a script. It's just to go into trying to be another person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that's something hard to do there. I mean, like, how do you prepare for that though? I mean, like, do you like meditate? Do you have a certain diet? I mean,
No. Yeah, well, you know, to go back when I was an actor, when I had really good acting classes, we would pull out these great scripts to work from. And it was always about relationships and what people say to each other. And, you know, then when you build your story around that, and you have those components of a villain and a hero and your genre, and then what did they say to each other? And
yes.
with 4 Days to Albuquerque, it was about racism, and it was about, you know, Navajo clans, and
Yes.
you know how the mothers, the two mothers, you know, whose land did it belong to, and the resentment that goes so deep with them both, because Lena has all this land and people are jealous of her.
Yes.
But, you know, and it's all, for me, it's all based on relationships. And
that sounds.
what people say to each other, and what people say to each other in this kind of story. You know, it could be, you know, we could have made a love story too, but it'd have to be based on something, right? It could
If it was
be
still a movie, it could be just it could be a love story just by body action, even though no love words were said. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
Just by eye contact. You know, because
Yeah.
like if you look at Conan, you know, Conan did the whole thing. They barely said 10 words the whole movie. You know.
Exactly.
So what's next for you right now? What's coming up? What's coming up in the next month? The
Well, I
next
think
6 months? Like the next
yeah.
year?
Well, what's going to happen? Well, right now, what's happening next is because Dan from KUNM, he had offered to record my next project in the KUNM studio with all the actors.
Whoa!
And I said, hell yeah, excuse my language. And he wanted to know which script. And I said, well, I already got Tribal Cop. It's an action movie from beginning to end. And it's again about a Navajo witch, but it's really good. And it's an all native cast. It's set at the Indian Casino. And well, a Navajo witch skinwalker comes to the casino and a Navajo is murdered. He's ripped apart in an elevator. And this tribal cop and his partner investigate, and it's action from beginning to end. And it's
These are the good ones, man.
It's based on my script, Tribal Cop, that I wrote 10 years ago. I thought, well, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it this way too. So I could raise money for it. But right now I'm in rewrites on it, and it's going to be done, I'd say, in the next month. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a casting call. And so you can come if you want, Mr. DJ.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And then Dave, I told David too. I said, you guys, it's open. I want to audition everybody. It's going to be non-union again, but thank you to Dan for offering, because then I can work better with because now I know what I'm doing with radio.
Well, to get it recorded over there with their equipment, you know what I mean? With their equipment, and then you can't beat that. You can't beat that. I mean, it's
going to be easier. It's going to be more convenient. But I think what I'm trying to do is keep the story intact, like I did with 4 Days to Albuquerque.
Yes.
And that's what's next. And then Gabby is the next one. So that's within, I guess, the next 6 months. But then I'm also
great.
I'm also writing on my other screenplays that I'm doing. So I'm busy. I really am.
Nice.
And
knock on wood. Good to hear. That's good to hear.
Thank God that.
So what do you do? What do you do in your hobbies when you like taking the break here? When you say like, okay, here we go now. I'm gonna go for a walk, or I'm gonna go here.
Dude, I'm at the gym all the time.
Oh, nice.
I'm at the gym, or I'm or writing.
Yes.
And that's it.
So the gym, that's good though, I mean, you got to release that, you got to
frustrations, everything. It's really
it's
the best.
They say 15 minutes of cardio at least a day helps, which cardio includes just your regular pace walking. You know what I mean? If you walk 15 to 20 minutes a day, it works. You know what I mean? And I think all our native people out there should do that. Stay off that fried bread and Spam in the morning, because our Native American people, remember that is survival food. You have fruits and vegetables still, Stay off the fried bread and Spam. That's why it's getting us diabetic. That's why 75% of our people are dying because of diabetes. Stay off of that. We got to be healthy.
Yeah, in my day, remember, it was commodities.
So good. And my dad used to work at Winter Rock. We used to haul that, so my dad used to bring back cheese galore.
We got cheese. We got ours from the government because of the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
The rations. We got the commodities cheese. We got the turkey that wasn't turkey, and this syrup. Then we got that syrup.
Oh yeah, that syrup.
That was in a big can. Big can.
Yeah.
And we ate a lot of that as kids.
The beef stew, remember?
Yeah, a lot of our Indian people, because of the commodities. And we lived on the res.
Yeah, we grew up on that. Tribal clothes, carrying your clothes back on the bus with a big old trash bag.
Yeah, and there were no jobs. And we had to, survive, and when commodities came, and then it ended for some reason.
Yeah, I know. And there's still no jobs, And there's still no jobs. You know what? I remember it was cassette tapes. I remember when a heavy metal band would come out, like when Motley Crue would come out with their new cassette. One person would buy it and come back, and then everybody would be parked there ready to dub the tape. Bring out the stereo, and they would dub it really fast.
Oh my God.
And then that's how we would bootleg the cassettes. Yeah,
Exactly.
$30 for each tape. $30 for each tape. Because after you record it 20 times on your regular cassette, that's when it starts chewing up. And so my uncle would buy 3 of them. He would buy 3 of them,
Really?
but he would make like $500 though. Because everybody
Well,
wanted the dub.
I waited for the digital cassette to come out.
Oh man.
Remember? There was
Yes.
a regular cassette, then the digital came in, I think in the late 80s. Then it
Yeah.
came clearer.
Yes.
But on our res, it was always, they always had these old, like 1980 boom boxes. And then
Yeah, with the big
they would,
speakers.
they would play these old R&B from the early 80s in 1989.
Yes, yes.
They'd be
Cool it
behind
now, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, stop. Cool it now.
You dropped the
Yeah,
bomb on
those are
me.
the songs. Listen to those.
You dropped the bomb on me.
Yes, baby.
Oh.
Yeah, I can hear that right now. Yeah, you dropped the bomb on me.
You pull out the antenna from the boombox, the antenna, and you try to get the R&B stations from Seattle or Portland because you couldn't get. You only got certain. And one of the Indian guys would stand there and hold that antenna so that everybody could dance at the party.
Oh yeah. Oh, you put foil on it, huh?
Yeah.
You put foil on it. You just barely touch it, And then when you go about 10 feet away, then you start doing all your moves. Look, I'm holding my hand like this, and it's playing good now. Man, crazy stuff there.
Those were the days.
Back in the days of the Reds. You know what I miss about the Reds though? I miss how simple it was. I miss going down to the store, and then when they actually accept change, when they actually accept pennies. Remember when stuff was like 50 cents and 25 cents? You remember that? And you would pay with that? When gas was regular and unleaded. When regular was to be 28 cents. Yeah, we're showing how old we are right now.
Yeah, that was, boy. We had a Mission Market. That was our only thing. We had the truck stop, but then it wasn't as modern. But we'd always go to the Mission Market, and then on the res you couldn't sell cigarettes or alcohol.
Yeah.
So
the bootleg was big, huh? The bootleg was big.
Yeah, so people would go to Mission Market to buy the cheap wine that tastes like whatever, and they try to mix it to make it taste like alcohol. I don't know.
Yeah. There was a famous one on the Navajo reservation called Garden Deluxe, GD. Hey, where's my bottle of GD? Garden Deluxe.
Really?
Yes, yeah. They always say that. Garden Deluxe, GD. Yeah, that was the wine, man. That's kind of like comparable to your Four Loko, I think, to these days, man, where it just blacks everybody out, man. Yeah, that's a brutal. Because there was a bar in Gallup used to be called Roundup Saloon, and I remember everybody, because my dad used to go there. I used to wait outside in the parking lot while he'd go in there and party. But I remember people used to throw back in the truck. They used to throw all the wine bottles, and all you would see is Garden Deluxe. Man.
Really?
Now that's a bar. Yeah, that's a bar that has stories.
That's an Indian bar right there.
Yeah, Roundup Saloon.
Do you remember? Let me ask you, do you remember that it was a whiskey, I think it was called Crazy Horse?
Yes.
And
yes.
In the mid 90s, they put it on the market. They put it on the market, and then these activists complained about it because it was a degradation of Native American whatever. And then they pulled it off, and then when I was working for maintenance at the Tingley Coliseum and here in Albuquerque, and this black guy was my boss, and he was telling me, he got upset with me kind of in a funny way. He said, you goddamn Indians, you take away my favorite whiskey. And I said, what do you mean? And because I don't drink, but he told me, he said, Crazy Horse. It was on the market, and they took it off.
Yes.
He goes, I took not even 2 to 5 gulps He goes, and I was knocked out. I said, what?
I blacked out on it. First
Are
time I
you
drank
really?
it. Yeah, I blacked out and I pissed on myself.
Are you
Yeah,
serious?
yeah. It's because it comes in a 40 bottle. It's like St. Ides, the malt liquor St. Ides. It's like St. Ides and Four Loko mixed together. And when you drink it, have that 40, yeah, you're done. Yeah, it's some strong stuff there, man. I mean, a lot of the drinkers in high school for back in the days, the gangster days, when a whole gang culture was coming up, everybody would drink St. Ides and Old English. And then they would call it brass monkeys when you mix Old English and orange juice together. And that's where the Beastie Boys sang that. Brass monkey, you're funky
Yeah.
monkey.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So it all hooks in with that there. But the
Well,
St.
you
Ides,
don't miss it. You don't miss Crazy Horse, do you? Because that was
that was the only time I drank it. I blacked out of it. I don't remember that. And then that's when they banned it. So yeah, I've only seen and touched the bottle that one time, and I've never ever seen it since.
Holy crap!
Yeah, if anybody has a bottle, you guys are lucky. It's a collector's item. I mean, everybody wants the bottle that says Crazy Horse. Yeah, because it was a cool logo on the bottle. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really nice. Yeah,
but it
crazy.
wasn't really the Crazy Horse, the real Crazy Horse. It was just an Indian who looked like Crazy Horse.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
but the guy that my boss was telling me, he goes, I was so upset when they took it off the market. He goes, because I had so much fun just drinking 5 gulps. He goes,
Oh man.
He goes, I don't remember anything after that. And he goes, every time I did it, I had so much fun. And I was like, wow, really? And then I had, back then we had to watch the news. We couldn't, there was no internet.
Yeah.
So I watched KOB4 and they did a thing on it. KOB4 did a news segment on Crazy Horse was banned and activists don't like it because it was a stereotypical degradation of natives and
it is.
the
It
Sioux
was.
tribe.
I think so.
They took it off. They just took it off. They said it was on the market, and then they just took it off. I was like, wow. I wonder if anybody remembers.
Oh, dude, all his drunks, all his former drunks and drunks, the natives that have had it before, yeah, we all talk about it. It's a legend. It's a legend. And there's a few of us out there that drank it, so.
So it must have been, the alcohol proof must have been sky high on that. I mean,
yeah, because if you think about like St. Ides alcohol volume is, I think in the 40 ounces like 9.9. And I'm guessing Crazy Horse had to be at least 20. You know what I mean? It probably had to be 20 because it was mixed. I mean, something else had to be mixed with it. Kind of like your what's the ever kind of like Everclear. You know the liquor Everclear.
That's like White Lightning or White.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, that's kind of like how Crazy Horse was for like the beer wise, like malt liquor type of stuff. It was kind of like that. That's what I was saying. It's like a mix between Four Loko. Four Loko is kind of like your energy drink. That's what it tastes like, but it gets people so crazy and blacks them out. That tastes like your energy drink, your nitro, your Rockstar drinks. So you mix that.
I wonder what happened when that got to Gallup.
Which one?
Because that Crazy Horse.
That fucked everybody up. That's when.
Remember at the time. What's it called? Drunktown USA.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Because I think A Current Affair did a thing on it, and they showed everybody passed out in front of their.
I used to walk to school at downtown. My mom worked at the federal building. And I went to school at Lincoln Elementary over there. So right in the 80s. So I was in Drunktown USA. I watched My Science Project and Rambo First Blood Part 2. That was my babysitter for 2 months there because I went to school and I would go over there because both movies, by the time I get out, that was what time my mom would get out of work and she would pick me up from over there. So all the people would know me there. But yeah, so that Drunktown USA. And what was so crazy was in the alleys, when you look in the alleys at that time, everybody was fighting, having sex, and drinking. That's all you would see in the alleys. It was so nuts, yeah. Crazy.
So Crazy Horse came out after it ended.
I'm
After
sure it
just
was. I'm sure
or
it was
what?
there that did the whole time. Because when I did Crazy Horse, that was back in '94. Yeah,
Yeah, not
yeah,
sure.
94, 93. It's like the last time I drank Crazy Horse. It was one 93 or 94, one of those times there. But yeah, that was a crazy stuff there. But yeah, a lot of legends and a lot of stories that come from Crazy Horse there.
I don't know
Because
how we brought that up, but
I know, because there's a famous bar in Gallup called the American Bar. I don't know if you heard of that American Bar, and it's kind of like your Shalimar. It's like your caravan type of stuff, but it's still
really.
going though, and that's where a lot of people will get drunk from it there. And
Well, in the Northwest, in Washington, on it was not on the reservation, but it was called Brownstown, and it was kind of like Drunktown, USA, but
yes,
it was just a bar, and it with a house behind it, and and throughout the 70s and 1980s, it was just a mecca for Indians,
yeah,
and it was the same thing, and people died there, that kind of thing. And
wasn't there like seven
when,
tribes relocated over that area?
I think so, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
There
I
was a
think
lot
so.
in Washington. Yeah, there was a lot of relocation going on, but it was really, I think they had to close it down for some reason. I don't know, but but it's just as bad in the Southwest. But I just wanted to ask you that because I had, people had told me about Crazy Horse, the whiskey.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, well, I'm not going to try it. I was telling them, I go, I'm not going to try it just because I'm Indian, because that's a stereotype. If you ask an Indian,
Yeah.
so you're Indian, you're gonna get drunk, and I'm like, no,
I was total stereotypical Indian. I don't drink anymore now,
really.
but yeah, I was your total stereotypical Indian there. Yeah, knocking on the door and pissed in my pants and my cowboy hat crushed to the side. That was me.
Did you have
Yeah,
did you
that
have a
was me there.
did you have a
But
did you have a fake Indian feather on your, or was the feather broken
the
or
feather was
lost?
broken. It was broken because it was fake. You know what I mean? Because they would sell them at the gas station because that was when Mr. T was famous for his feathers. Remember, he would clip on those feathers onto his gold necklaces, and he would have his earrings. You remember that,
I pitied a
Mr. T?
fool.
Yeah, he had all the feathers, so they would sell those at the gas stations. You remember that? They would sell them with those fake roses. You
Yeah,
can buy those.
yeah, exactly.
That was
Oh
the day.
God!
That was the
Wow.
day. And for our audience there, ladies and gentlemen, we were just talking about old school stuff back in Gallup, New Mexico. We're talking about in the ages, well, not specifically Gallup, but we're talking about probably from 89 to 84. We're probably in that era now that we're talking about there. Because at that time, do you remember TG&Y? Remember there used to be TG&Y? Do
Thank
you
God it's
familiar?
Friday. Or
It used to be like a Kmart.
oh, TG. Oh, okay. I
TG&Y.
remember it, but I've never been to it. So
Oh, okay, yeah, that used to be a big place in Gallup there. So the natives over there on your side there, did you guys go hang out over there like at Seattle and stuff like that? Because when I drove up there, I didn't realize there was so many natives in Seattle too. I was walking down by the fish market. It was like walking at Gallup. I just saw a bunch of natives there. I freaked out.
yeah, Seattle, and there's certain parts in Seattle that you go to where all the Indians are, and then in Portland, Oregon, I think that the street used to be called Burnside, where all the Indians would go, and then of course Brownstown was up in Washington, just east of Seattle, and that was on a different reservation though. That was near, I think, Wapato or Topnish. I can't remember where it's at, but that's where the big cities, a lot of the urban Indians would go to, either Portland or Seattle, and then I think Salem they would go. It would be where they would get tired. They couldn't find a job on the rest, so they'd go to the city. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And and then if they couldn't get a job there, then they'd go back to the res. So but the big cities were, I think Seattle, a lot of the missing Indians are up there. A lot of them go missing in Seattle.
Yeah.
I don't know what the statistics are, but a lot of things happen in Seattle because, the natives just conjugate up there. So it's just.
Well, I used to try to do a thing for the missing and murdered native, and you know what I found out was that Seattle, I think it was in 2019 or 2018, took over for missing Native Americans. It used to always be Gallup. It used to be Gallup, Albuquerque, and Tucson, and then now it's Seattle, Alaska, then
Really?
Gallup. Yeah, yeah. So Seattle definitely that's. When I drove through there, it's just so mountainous. It's just there's so wooded. It's like anybody could hide over there.
It rains 6 months out of the year.
Well, let me ask you this here. Let me ask you this: how was the whole grunge? Were you there for the whole grunge scene, like when it was coming up?
The early
Oh,
90s.
no, you were in LA, huh? No, you were in LA though, huh?
No,
LA?
that was the early 90s, I think.
Because
Yeah,
grunge came out.
I was in Santa Fe.
Okay.
1990, 91, I was in Santa Fe.
So you were just to raise all of us over here in New Mexico then, huh?
Yes.
Everyone's all happy to hear your story about seeing the revolution there of grunge music in Seattle, but you're stuck in Santa Fe.
No, I missed out on the whole grunge thing. But
And then you went to LA at the wrong time when hair metal was out too.
Really? Yeah.
You just missed the tail end of it.
Yeah.
Oh
I missed out
man.
on metal stuff. But I still like Rockstar. That's a really good movie.
Oh man, yeah. If you
Remember we
guys have
talked
not
about
seen Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg, please put your head in the door and slam it 10,000 times again because you deserve it. You guys got to see Rockstar. Stand up and shout out! Ow! Yeah. That is Rockstar, baby. The guy
I was kind of hoping they'd make a Rockstar 2.
that would be awesome.
That would have been great.
I think it would be because it ended great. I mean, that's a movie that ended great where you could leave it like that, but you could also start it up again.
Exactly.
What about The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke? What do you think about that one? How that ended? Don't mess it up for people, but I mean,
yeah, what a performance.
that's an ending. That's a crazy ending.
Yeah, that was I think he got an Oscar nomination for that.
I think they won, didn't they?
He got that was his comeback movie back then.
Ooh, that was a powerful movie, huh?
That was he reached. That guy was really that was a good movie. I like that movie.
Yes, yeah. When I first saw it, it freaked me out. I was like, wow. It's an emotional movie, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys have not seen The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke, definitely one to watch there. Yeah, it's definitely a good one. It's not what you expect. It's definitely not what you expect. It's different from what the title is. So, yeah, make sure you guys check that out. It's going to be a good one here. What about the new movies coming up here? What are you excited for coming up here?
Well, John Wick 4.
Okay, I haven't watched it yet, but go ahead.
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm going to go into theater. It's still playing here in Albuquerque. And then,
I gotta watch
of course,
that theater.
Mission Impossible 7, Part 1. Tom Cruise. That comes in July. And, because since I'm writing action films too.
Yes.
My teachers tell me to look at these action films. And one of them was John Wick. We studied John Wick, the first one. And then I just fell in love with that movie, the whole series. And then, The Matrix, and then Jason Bourne.
Yes. Like, as far as Keanu Reeves goes, as far as his physical attributes go as making these movies here, he has improved from when he started from The Matrix to now. When you see him in The Matrix there, like, like you can tell he's never trained before. He was so stiff. But now when you see him, it's like he is fluid, he's flexible, and it looks good on camera now. It's like that guy worked really hard to get that action stuff down. I mean, that's a lot of work. I mean, like
Exactly.
rolling, like how they get rolled, and then he has a great team with him, the whole stunt team. I
Yeah.
mean, those people that work with him, it kind of makes you wonder how it would be working with Jackie Chan, just to see how those guys work. There's a movie called Drunken Master 2, and the finale is probably like 15 minutes. And that 15 minutes, it took him 4 months to film. 4 months to film the final fight scene of Drunken Master 2. So, yeah.
Really?
Yes.
No way.
Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah,
that
4 months
with which one was with Jackie Chan and the other guy, Jet Li? What was that called?
That one, I believe, is going to be more of the Forbidden Kingdom. I believe that's what it's called. It's more of your sci-fi. Yeah.
It was
Where
about
Jet
that
Li plays
boy.
the Monkey King, correct? He plays the
Yeah.
Monkey King. And then Jackie Chan plays the Drunken Master guy.
They did part of it in slow-mo, which I didn't like. Because why do it in slow-mo when you have two master fighters?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. It's too bad they didn't catch themselves on screen when they were at their prime. You know what I mean? Like for example, if you take Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris, they were in their prime, and that one scene is like, you're always gonna see that scene.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the music.
So with Drunken Master, is that just one film, or did they have a second?
So what happened is Drunken Master came out, I believe, like in 75 or 77, and that was the original one. And then Drunken Master 2 came out in 1994, and Drunken Master 2 is still today Jackie Chan's highest movie, highest generating movie for money wise in China, I should say. I think actually worldwide.
The first one?
Yeah, the second one, Drunken Master 2.
One. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So when Drunken Master 2 was released, when they re-released it in America, they re-released it as Legend of the Drunken Master. So you can watch it, Legend of the Drunken Master, in the U.S. version. Now, the messed up thing about Jackie Chan movies is they cut up all his fighting stuff. So when they had like Rumble in the Bronx, when they had Mr. Nice Guy, First Strike, Operation Condor, they literally they cut up all his fighting scenes. So they would take a 5-minute fight scene and they would edit it down to a minute, and they would leave all kinds of good stuff out. So if you get a big Jackie Chan fan out there, ladies and gentlemen, please find the Hong Kong version of all his movies that were released in the U.S., because you're going to see a lot of dialogue, a lot of scenes, and a lot of action scenes that were cut from it. Because at that time, they said American audiences are going to wonder why are people fighting for 5 minutes when they could just punch him and kick him and kill him right away, at that time.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, so the
you
Drunken
miss
Master,
a lot. You miss a
sure.
lot if it's just, because if he's the master of that genre, you're gonna miss 5 minutes of great action.
Yes, and believe me, they cut out a lot of stuff. They cut his whole movies up.
You know what's kind of funny of Jackie Chan? Do you remember when Mulan came out?
Yes.
The animation?
Yeah.
And there's that song called I'm Gonna Make a Man Out of You. It was sung by Donny Osmond.
I don't remember.
In the movie, he's training him. In the movie, he's training him. He says, "I'm gonna make a man out of you." It turns into a song, and they start hunting and fishing and fighting and all that. Well, in the DVD extras, if you watch it, Jackie Chan he sings that song, and he does he has like not a baton but a pole.
Yes.
And he's acting out the scenes.
Oh, wow.
It's absolutely hilarious. I don't know why he did it. I don't know why they did that for him. I don't know. I can't explain it. Because I saw it and I was like, why is he doing this? Because he never sang the song and he sang it.
Yeah.
His own voice.
Well,
but in the movie, Donny Osmond sings it.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna make a man out of you with
Yeah.
that leader who trains all the idiots with Mulan.
Yes. Yeah.
She can become a warrior. And if you look at, I think because he's Jackie Chan, they just put him in there to see if they could make money off of him. It's on it's on the DVD extras of Mulan.
I gotta check that one out there. But he's famous for singing his movies. So like all the movies he's made,
Yeah.
that's actually him singing it. So he started singing his own intro themes, I believe for Police Story. Police Story came out in 1985, and that was his biggest movie for that started him out there. And that was the first time he sang a song on movies, and it got a big review. So ever since then, from 1985, he's sang every movie that was made in Hong Kong. He sang all his theme songs to it, every single one, except for The Big Brawl, which was made in America, which came out in 80. And then in 94, there's a movie called City Hunter that came out that was an adaptation of a comic book too. And he didn't do that one there. He did half of the song there, but yeah. And then Rush Hour he didn't do, but yeah, he's known for that. And then also, I never knew that he's a comedian. He had stand up. He has old clips of stand ups of him. I don't know. I can't find it on YouTube anymore, but I believe I think if you go into, you have to be in the Chinese region, I think, to see it because it's blocked from our area. And I think yeah. It used to be on YouTube a long time ago, but yeah, he was going for stand up. When he grew up, he was in the Peking Opera, so I mean they had to do all that, circus and hair, makeup, everything there. Yeah, so he had to do all that.
Do you think that's why they had him do that? That I'm gonna make a man out of you.
Yeah, well, he loves oldies. There's a movie called First Strike. He's singing the oldie when he says, "I will follow you," and he
really
that song? Yeah. And he's in a funny situation. See, he got his start from Buster Keaton, so that was his idol. Yeah, was Buster Keaton. So people always thought it was like a martial artist. No, it was Buster Keaton. It's for our audience out there listening. Buster Keaton was a silent movie character like Charlie Chaplin that came out. And a lot of the stuff you guys see Buster Keaton that will do, it's on YouTube right now. It's crazy, unbelievable, especially doing that back in those days.
Yeah, he was big back then. I mean, he was a lot of comedians or, slapstick always.
Yes.
I mean, he's their idol.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I did not know that. But, maybe whoever Disney made that movie. So maybe they thought that they'd get extra money because they had him. It's not awful. It's just surprising.
Yeah,
because
especially for a movie for Disney.
Yeah, it's just him in a room playing with this pole, and he's just, I'm gonna make a man out of you. That's
when he came out, in Ellen, I think it was Ellen, he was singing Elvis.
Really?
Yeah, he was singing Elvis like, fallen in love with you. Yeah, it's on. Yeah, I think it was on Ellen. Ellen and David Letterman, I believe, where he sang the song. Yeah, dude, I was a fanatic, man. Yeah, I'm a Jackie Chan fanatic. Nowadays, yeah, he kind of he's getting older now. Now he wants to be part of the politics, so I don't keep up as much anymore because of that. Because he's pretty much done with movies now. He's pretty much like setting his life up now. I mean, he's Jackie Chan. He can do whatever he wants now.
Well, Rush Hour 4 better come along because they're getting old.
Oh man, yeah. I think Jackie Chan. I think he's let's see, how old is he now? He's got to be 70. He's got to be 70. Jackie Chan. Let's see here. How old is he? How old are you, Jackie Chan? Jackie Chan.
Well, Chris Tucker is
69. He's 69 years old.
Wow. Well, he looks young, but Chris Tucker's getting up there. I think he's 50 something.
Yeah.
They better hurry up. It's going to be rush hour old age.
Just think he made enough money to
one.
live off of that. How crazy is that? He made enough money off of those movies just to live, you know? Because when's the last time he came out with a project? I think it's with the Cooper guy, Bradley Cooper, right? I think that was his last project.
Or was it Pierce Brosnan? It was something like The Foreigner.
Oh, is that a new one?
The Foreigner was a couple of years ago. He played. His daughter was killed or something, and then he went to the. He was a foreigner in the country of Ireland, and he went to the Iron Detective and played by Pierce Brosnan.
Really? I gotta check it out then. Wow.
And then, so no one helps him in Ireland, so Jackie Chan takes matters into his own hand, and he.
Oh, you're talking about Jackie Chan? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about Chris Tucker.
No,
I don't remember Chris Tucker in The Foreigner. I was like, okay. No, The Foreigner is good. You know what I like part of The Foreigner was when they fought in the car scene with the money.
Yeah.
When he jumps over the cars, yeah, that was a good scene in The Foreigner there. But Chris Tucker though, you know, I mean, if you think about a guy that fucking, I should cuss that, but a guy that hit a jackpot with Jackie Chan. And he's living off of the money, off the royalty stuff like that still to this day. I mean, when did Rush Hour 3 come out? You know, it came out, what, 2004? You know,
the first one came out in 1998.
Yeah.
Second one came out in 2002. In 2004, it was Rush Hour 3.
3, yeah.
That year, yeah.
And then he hasn't really had another major part. I think he did cameos, right? A bunch of cameos.
Yeah.
Cameos, but he's been living off of that. I think he had a restaurant. He had like a restaurant, but he had to give it up because he filed for bankruptcy, I believe. You know, but to still live comfortably.
He does stand up too. He's been doing stand up for I think the last 5 years since he had to slow down because he didn't want to get COVID. Chris Tucker. So
Chris Tucker, hey. Yeah. Well, you know what? When it comes to that's got to be a hard avenue, you know, going into comedy, to do stand-up comedy. Can you see yourself writing a comedy?
No. I'd have to really, if it's anything, it has to be Indian humor. It has to be. It has to be
for sure.
Like I'd love to see Hangover, the real Hangover, for a native.
Yeah. Can you imagine that the native wise?
A comedy. But that would have to be, I'd have to take whole new classes to, you know, because most of the time it's timing and it's writing, but it's also timing. And you got to have the right comedians to do it. Or like The Hangover, because the first Hangover was absolutely hilarious.
Yes.
And I thought, how could this be? I thought, this could. I think it could be funnier if it was native. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would be more outrageous, I think, because it would.
Because you know that story relates to everybody because we all know a person like that. You know, every single character, we all know somebody like that. You know, that's how we can relate to it. You know, we all know somebody like that.
I was the guy who was trapped up above on the buildings.
Yeah.
After
the first streak.
Yeah. He was there, and then he disappears for the whole film, and then he comes back. They find him up there.
I'm literally Chow, dude. That's literally me, man. I mean, you can already tell by my voice and my person. Yeah, that was literally Chow, dude. That's when I first saw that, I started laughing. I was like, that guy is so freaking funny.
Well, you know, we know a native who's lost their teeth or pulled their teeth out when we don't know what happens. Well, sometimes we don't know what a native does when he's drunk because he shows up with no teeth. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. We're always missing teeth all the time. Go party on Friday, Saturday come back and you're smiling like, what happened? I don't know. This is vocal like this. I think it was from Darren. Last night we got to that thing over at Shalimar. Oh man.
Same with the women, the native women. I mean, it could go both ways. I mean, that could be, but it's going to take an undertaking. It's got to take a really good script.
Yeah, for sure. To write something like that. You know, like Friday. Like when I saw Friday, I was like, that's pretty good. I'm like, man, that could be native too, but that could go through a lot of cultures too. I think when Friday came out, that script kind of changed a lot of people. Like it kind of like made that type of genre of what's going on in your day, which was probably kind of started with Seinfeld. Would you think? You know, the story about nothing. You know, would you think it will work? A story about nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So, The Hangover, I mean, I don't want to go on about it, but the Hangover.
No, go ahead. Yeah, no, go ahead.
You know, the Hangover was, somebody had gone in and pitched it to the studio that made it. They just said, I don't have a script, but I just want to pitch it to you. So when they pitched it to the studio, the executives bought the story from him for $750,000.
What? Really?
And what they did was the studio hired a screenwriter to write the script. And then when the film came out, the studio was sued because several people thought it was their idea.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It was just a pitch. They sued the studio and the guy who did the pitch. But the guy didn't give any money back because it was just a pitch. It wasn't a story.
That's crazy. That's like kind of like between the lines fall between the cracks. You know what I mean? That's like a perfect setup right there. You know, I mean, you can't really do nothing about that, right? You can't really sue. You can't.
One of the executives that sued said, one of these Hollywood executives sued them because he said that idea came from his trip to Las Vegas, where he had his wallet of money. Him and his friends, they got drunk, and it just something happened, and all their wallets were disappeared the next morning. And I think one of them got married, and they didn't remember getting married. And then, and then it was just a whole. And then one guy, he wasn't missing a tooth; he was missing something, part of his ear or something.
Yeah. Well, you know, like I got married at the courthouse, and my reception was at the strip club. Yeah, I got married downtown Albuquerque, and then me and the wife at that time, we went straight to the strip club there. And then my mom was so mad because she's like, I'm not going in there to celebrate. So after the strip club, we ended up going to Chili's. So that's where we had the official quote unquote dinner reception. Wow. It was at Chili's. Dude, how redneck and ghetto and native is that, dude?
How Indian project is that?
Yeah, and you know what's so crazy was when we went over there, we were buzzed already. We were already buzzed, me and her. And when I gave her the ring to put it on her finger, I put it on the wrong hand. She took it off and put it on her right one. And I was like, oh shit, you know, that should have been a sign right there. I put it on the wrong hand, you know.
Wow. See, there you go. You have a story. I mean, that's you just add in something that you call it Crazy Horse. You drank a Crazy Horse and you woke up with a different woman or something.
Woke up married at the reception and got married at the reception again, you know. Yeah. Wow.
I just thought I'd give you that tidbit about The Hangover because everybody at the time was talking about it. And that's how it was just a pitch.
That's crazy. That's like such a loophole. That's like, so let me ask you this here. Now that you're a screenwriter here right now, and the everybody's on strike right now, and Little Birdie said that the SAG people are going to be going on strike too because production has been getting away with it by hiring non-union people like us, like me, to keep production going. You know, they're hiring at a lower rate and stuff like that there. So I guess SAG supposedly, quote unquote, are going to be going on strike here within the next couple of weeks to shut everything down there because of this
Wow.
whole AI
Yeah.
stuff and the writer's
Yeah.
strike. So what's your thoughts on AI and stuff like that? What's your
Well,
give it
first
to
of
me?
all,
What do you got?
excuse me, but first of all, the because I'm part of the SAG union,
Yes,
they
yes.
sent us out a PIN number to vote on authorizing a strike if it comes to that. And if our negotiations don't go well, it's kind of the last resort.
Yes.
But the big discussion with all the actors is it's not that the non-union people are working, it's because of AI, artificial intelligence. And it's invading all the unions. And I think it's going to be a big thing. That's why we got to get contracts done right now, because within the next couple of years, we could be all doing Avatar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Because it just could
I
be
mean,
an animation.
if computer programmers
Because
are going out, I mean, computer programmers they're going to be losing their jobs for sure to AI. You know, so I mean,
exactly.
this
So
is
it's
a
not
this is a tough one.
it. Yeah, and it's really. I voted for even though I'm not making any money, because I'm not working. I voted for the strike because we could get a better deal because the internet is just taken over. I mean, we've got to
Yes.
control, uh, you know, all of our work on the internet as well as because the bootlegging that's going on, that kind of thing. But
Yes.
it was with the non-union stuff. When I was a background extra in LA, this was God 10 years ago, a decade ago. A lot of the union actors, and it was no secret, what they would do is because these actors and actresses that want to be movie stars so badly that they would cheat. They would be union, but they'd use different names to go do non-union work so they could get money.
Ah,
And
okay.
a lot of the actors would tell me, "Well, I'm going to go on this project even though it's non-union. I can work on it and I could do it." And all that stuff. And I was like, wow, really? And your union? Because, if you get caught, they could take your card away. And
You're done, right? I mean, a
yeah,
union is not
it's,
something to mess with,
yeah,
right?
because union specifies that you can't do non-union work.
Yeah.
And if you get your card taken away, it's going to take forever to get it back. You got to go through court. You got to go through the SAG union to get everything, and you got to stop. But a lot of actors do it. A lot of these on the lower ladder that just do background work, that kind
Yes.
of thing,
Yeah.
and that have this is in Los Angeles, but I don't know how it goes out here because it's just New
Yeah.
Mexico. But it you just they do it all the time. So I
Yes.
don't know if the
Yeah.
non-union thing is a big deal, but the AI is really a concern for everyone. And I think
I
that's what
think.
the Writers Guild,
Yeah.
they're really trying hard to get a good contract because it's taken over the writing too. I mean, who's writing the scripts? Because of the
Yep.
executives are starting to the executives are studios. They're starting to have AI help write the scripts. So who's writing the scripts? A
Yep.
machine? That kind of thing. So,
Yes.
and since we're getting older, I'd rather have an avatar play my part
For
because
sure.
this whole high definition crap
H
that makes me look.
HD.
You have,
Yeah. Be like a
you
Sims
have,
character from the PlayStation stuff, or
yeah, if
Fortnite,
you have if
Those.
you have a creator face.
Yeah. Wait, no,
So yeah,
I think AI. I honestly, like, for me on my side, I honestly think that now that AI is here, I really think screenwriting lyrics and everything now, it's just gonna. I think humans, the human mind right now, is probably gonna have to step up the game. You know what I mean? I think
Exactly.
we're probably gonna have. We're probably gonna. I bet we're gonna have somebody that's gonna set the whole thing on fire again. Somebody's gonna come out with a new sound and a new way to keep control of the AI stuff. You know, I mean, it always happens. You know, I mean, somebody's gonna come up with some type of invention to control it. So, but I honestly think that like screenwriting, lyric writing, I mean, a computer program, I think those are gonna be like probably mushed in with other job categories. You know what I mean? So a
Yeah.
writer's not going to be a writer no more. It's going to be like they're going to be the the director writer. They're going to make it some shit. You know what I mean? Because not only writing is going to go in that, they're going to have other duties because AI is going to be writing it. You know, they probably set it up a different way. You know, I mean, somebody's going to figure out something. You know, but
Yeah, and it's just going to
until
be.
then, now this is going to be hard.
That's why they're fighting. The Directors Guild is also, they're trying to have their talks with the producers. They're trying to keep it's all about protecting your work, your own
How
work.
how do you how do you think they should do it? I'm like what do you think they should do? Like your opinion? Like how do you think they should do it?
Well, with actors, I think that you need to just release it and let it go because, down the road, I mean, right now the number one movie is the Spider-Man, the new one that came out this weekend, and it's animation,
Yes.
and they're getting paid big bucks for just
The
playing
voiceover.
those. Yeah, and Avatar, you just got to stop thinking about, they're taking over actors, but really they're not, because even though you have a voiceover, it's still you. Um,
Yes.
you know, and it's
Yes.
with the Avatar films, it's you're just a different color. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I mean,
What do you
so
think about Avatar movie? Did you watch it?
I loved the first one, and I
Yeah.
like the second one. Yeah, I think there's a couple more coming out, but the first one was absolutely
Yes. That was
fantastic.
emotional, man. It was
Um,
emotional. I didn't expect to cry.
critics were calling it, the Dances with Wolves of space, which,
Yeah.
I didn't look at it that way. I thought it was an interesting idea going into the future and
Yes.
having all the actors play, avatars. I mean,
Yes.
it was a really good digital idea for the time. And that was what, back in 2009?
That was a
That was the
breakthrough for
first
sure.
one. Yeah,
It was a
exactly. So,
breakthrough. Yeah, breakthrough.
and then the second one, I liked it, but it was 3.5 hours long. I was like,
Yes.
I have to go to the bathroom. So you can't drink a big gulp while you're watching the second one.
Yes.
But I think, if natives can move into the future, I think that Avatar is a really good way to go. I mean, we're all going in that direction anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
But still, our native stories still aren't told. I mean, we're still trying to get out of the gate.
They're not told. They're not told by us. They're interpreted by Hollywood still. You know what I mean? They're not told literally by us because like when you get on some of these these sets here, like for example, some of these Native American sets that are coming out on American Movie Channel. Like I don't know if I can name them out. But the new stuff that's coming out by Tony Hillerman stuff. Those TV shows. They definitely don't give control to the actual people who know about those traditions and stories. They're like kind of interpreted where it looks good on camera, but it doesn't show the essence of why. You know what I mean? It kind of just it's weird there. But when you go into like something like the Avatar stuff, Avatar 2 was okay, but they're competing with video games now. Video
Yeah,
game movies are awesome now. I mean, those video games, it'll take you 9 months to complete a video game, but it's literally a movie. They have all these cut screens. So when I watched Avatar 2, I was disappointed because video games have come so far. I was just blown away that it kind of just made Avatar 2 look like blah. And at the same time, I think we need new movie screens, right? I think we need new movie screens because my TV at home shows better than the movie screen in IMAX. You know what I mean? I think we need new movie screens.
Exactly. Something that's like IMAX, but you
They
know,
need
a lot
clear. They need
bigger.
4K movie screens. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, like in Albuquerque, like all the theaters that I went to now, like it's great going to theater. You get all the experience, but shoot, our TVs that cost $168 from Walmart now show better than that. You know, I mean, we got HD at home. You know,
Exactly. Exactly. So,
uh,
and with, what is interesting about the video games is sometimes you're in that game and you can play the hero.
yes,
And, with I don't know, Avatar 2 was trying to go with water. It was called Way of the Water. So it was the
yes,
whole story surrounded sea animals and protecting the waters and all that stuff. So and then it turned into this whole, you know, they're trying to steal this like the blood from this whale or this,
yes,
and then and they're fighting like a video game. I'm not sure what it
yes.
was trying to do, but other than that,
You know what I
I
was thinking
liked it.
was that. Do you think they're going after the creation stories? You know how a lot of Native American had the four world creation story where the first world they're underground, right? You know, they're living underground caves. The second one is the water world, and then the third world is your modern world today that we live in, and then your fourth world they go back into the ground. So I was thinking maybe it might be going after that. Could be too, you know. Who
Well,
knows?
he could be taking his inspiration from that kind of part of the
Because I
native
think
culture.
because I think that's part of the Hopi too. Because I know Navajos. The Navajo tribe. I can say back in the days we were horrible to the Pueblo people. So a lot of the Navajo culture, a lot of our arts and craft, a lot of our songs and stories, actually are Pueblo stories. They come from Pueblos, like literally from the Hopi people. The
Wow,
Navajo
really?
culture. Yeah, yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
yeah,
A lot. I would say probably like 70% of our arts and craft, our songs and stuff like that are tailored after Pueblo people because the Navajos back then were we were literally like the Vikings. You know what I mean? Us and the Apaches, we were at war with everybody. The Comanches, and then the
yeah,
Mexicans. They were just all war. So then it sucked for the Pueblo people getting involved because they were just the farmers, so they got thrown in the middle and they got executed by everybody, But long story short, we know that's where a lot of the cultures come from, Hopi. So I'm wondering if they're trying to do that. So maybe the next one it might be Avatar in real life as 2025.
yeah. Or the Four Directions. You know,
Yes.
no one's done that yet, but still.
Yeah.
But you never know what he's going to do. But it's
There's a four direction story too, like for the Navajo culture, for the four winds, the four sacred mountains, and you call it four different personalities. So you got your people from Arizona, like from the around Utah area.
yeah,
Those people, that Navajo clan of the people there, that area, they're supposed to be considered like the 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 backbone of the people. They're considered like they're the ones that make the population. They're the ones that keep things going. That's the reason why the government is over there at Winter Rock. And then you go over to Farmington area, that Sacred Mountain, that side for Colorado, stuff like that. When you come over there, that's where you get all the good-looking Navajo people. Those are the ones that travel and went up north and everything like that. That traded with all the white people there. That's where the good-looking Navajos supposedly come from. And then you come down to Mount Taylor, and that's where you get your loner people from. You get your the people from like Crown Point area, stuff like that. A lot of those people only have like one kid, two kids at the most. So when they had that kid, and then that kid goes off and does their thing, and they kind of just keep that going. So they're considered like the cougar type of stuff. And then you go over to like Alamo type of area and that southern part of Arizona. That whole area is kind of like all your crazy people. Those are not, I shouldn't say crazy. Those are all your warriors. Those are the people that got away from the long walk. So, and then they kind of made their way to Arizona on that side there. But that's how like that's how it was taught to us. Well, how it was taught to me when it comes like to the four winds, the four corners, and then the four sacred mountains there. As far like the people go, because I guess there was like four main families with the clans there for the Diné people, from what I was told. Yeah.
Well, that can be a great story. The long walk.
Yes.
I mean, today people think the long walk is the Trail of Tears with the Cherokee, but it's not. I mean, I think that can be a really good. There could be a story that surrounds the long walk. I mean, it could be a Western. I don't know why I brought that up, but
well, if you think about I-40, from Albuquerque to Laguna, from I-40 on Interstate I-40, everybody knows this. When you travel through New Mexico, right before you get to Albuquerque, there's always an accident. For some reason, between Laguna, New Mexico, and Albuquerque, New Mexico, on that 40-mile stretch of road there's always an accident there. But what people don't know is Tohajale, New Mexico is right there, where Tohajale is a little Navajo community where a lot of the people escaped from the Navajo people when they did that walk. They went to Tohajale and they went down to Alamo. The reason why they went to Tohajale is because there was a spring up there, an underground river. So when you say Tohajale, you actually say Tohajale, which means the running water. So that's why they hid over there. But in the meantime, that whole stretch of I-40 from Albuquerque to Laguna was part of that long walk. So a lot of people died on that road before they even made it into a highway. So they said that bad juju is literally just lingering in that whole area. So that's why you get all those accidents in that area.
Wow, really? That's interesting.
Yeah. Yes.
We
so when
should
you did that 4-day.
Yeah, we should have another talk on just that. I mean, we can build a story around it or something.
So when you did that 4 days to Albuquerque, to a lot of the people who know that part of the story there, that kind of when you did that 4 days to Albuquerque about the witch and the mountain and stuff that, it works in real good with that, works pretty good. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that you, it's great to touch on, part of history, but you can't just write something and then, because the history is there.
Yes.
You just gotta wrap it up into a good story. And this story, this story is a story of survival, really.
Yes, for sure.
And it's got a lot of layers, and I'm glad that I know how to write something like this now.
Yeah, and it works with us, it works with everybody, and everybody that was part of the crew, you know what I mean, brought it to life as well, I mean, but it was a lot of work for you, I mean, you got to edit all of that, and especially getting everybody in at one time in one room, that's got to be hard there, get everybody's schedule, that's one thing, especially with this. Everybody works these, 14, 16-hour days, and hard to get them in there too as well. But yeah, let's give a shout out to all the people acting here right now. Let's see here. Okay. We got the cast. This is the cast, guys, for 4 days at Albuquerque. We got Jamie Watchman Johnson, Helena Sosi, Ike Johnson, Ashkia Trujillo, Nathaniel Harrison, Randy Jim, Sheila Rocha, Brianna Archuleta, Brandy Jim, Terry, let's see, I can say it, Terry Mulcahy, Terry McCauley, I apologize, Mulcahy, Crystal Duran, Philip Duran, Josh Russell, Zachary King, Nick Griffith, Jesus Banos III, Ken Ash, Tom Conklin, Robert Luke McCrary, Linda Eustasis, David Payatamo, Bryson Vicente, Giovanni Martinez, Angela Garcia, Scott Abels, and Tina Toledo. That's a lot of people there.
Yeah. And you play the Navajo witch.
Yeah. What a lot of people don't know is
Bryson plays Grandpa Benali.
Yes, yeah. My DJ name is the Navajo Rambo Bobby Steele, but my real name on the outside of here is Bryson Vicente, and I was very fortunate to be part of the cast here playing the Navajo Skinwalker, and I have to thank you so much for letting me be part of this project, and at the same time, thank you so much for being on Earth Rock Radio, being our first interview in 3 years.
Wow, thank you. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully it
So you
won't
got
be the
thrown,
last.
everything got thrown at you.
But when we do Tribal Cop, and if you're cast, then we can go from there too.
Oh yeah, but either way, you know, you still got to come back on the air. You know,
Yeah.
if you got short stories you want to tell, why don't we do that? You know, make sure maybe you get a segment here for 10 minutes and tell a story. You know, these short stories you got build up into something else. You know, you never know who's going to be listening. You know, because now that we're kind of a little bit in the TV film business here. A lot of people are going to be listening to Earth Rock Radio, and I'm pretty sure somebody might pick up your ideas. You know.
Yeah, and it won't be another Crazy Horse.
Yeah, Crazy Horse. But if you want a Crazy Horse story, that's definitely.
Oh my God.
That's gonna be it. So let's before we wrap up here, let's go ahead and get your social media stuff out there again. Let's let the public know how they can listen to you here. Why don't you go ahead and give them your social media stuff again one more time there, Mr. Pond.
Okay, 4 Days to Albuquerque, the trailer and the full-length radio western, is already uploaded to SoundCloud-Roscoe Pond. And then 4daystoalbuquerque.blogspot.com is the official blog website for 4 Days to Albuquerque. That's it.
Awesome. Great. Awesome. Great. And also, people, ladies and gentlemen, I shouldn't say people. I was working at the wine festival in Albuquerque.
Really?
And yeah, for the Memorial Day weekends, I kept saying, you people go over here. People need to go over here. People with tickets need to go over here. People without tickets need to go over here. So now I've been saying people all day. So I don't mean you people as audience. I mean, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be having the show coming up here as soon as we get done with this chat here. We're going to go ahead and play the episode here for 4 Days to Albuquerque. Also, at the same time, we're going to be having it on Sundays. We'll be playing it on Sundays probably for the next couple of months here, just so everybody can have a chance to listen to the story and also tune in again. And we'll probably also replay this interview too as well. Not so much an interview, more of a chat. We'll play it on Sunday too as well. And let everybody get the feel of it, so that way we can all spread the word and help Mr. Pond here get his writing credentials up to maybe a big screen movie time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Yeah, let's do it.
Yes, for sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go ahead and call this here. And again, guys, running 24/7. 365 myrock.com. If you guys have any questions, if you guys want any type of promotion, if you guys are looking for a chat too as well, if you guys want to add music, please send us an email at earthrockradio@gmail.com. Again, earthrockradio@gmail.com. Or you can send me an email at onebobbysteele@gmail.com. Again, onebobbysteele@gmail.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to call this here, and we'll get Mr. Pond back on here for part 2 of this conversation because we have just barely even scratched the surface of this whole thing here. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you. Have a good night. Yeah. Ow!
Number 1.
The only hot station rocking the nation. Earth Rock Radio. My E-Rock. My E-Rock. Rock. My E-Rock.com.